If you like the story, you can support the author on Patreon. Link is in the description.
Chapter 1, The nation is about to fall, what should we do? I have returned with better translation. After the chaos of the Warring States period ended, the major nations established hidden villages, implementing a one nation, one village policy. Among them, the 5 most powerful nations: the land of fire, the land of wind, the land of water, the land of lightning, and the land of earth founded the strongest of the 5 great hidden villages. Though the First Shinobi World War was slowly drawing to a close, the entire ninja world remained unsettled. The land of Whirlpools, a small island nation adjacent to the land of fire, was a weak country with limited territory, surrounded by the sea, a small population, and dwindling national strength, a nation unlikely to survive the war. At this moment, however, the country was shrouded in a somber atmosphere. Prince Jun, the daimyo has requested your immediate return, a ninja said respectfully to a red-haired boy around 7 years old. The land of Whirlpools is not very safe these days. Understood. Uzumaki Jun's youthful face furrowed slightly as he nodded. I'll return soon. Please tell my father not to worry. But the guard seemed uneasy, but Uzumaki Jun cut him off. Don't worry, I'll stay within Uzushiagakuer. Uzumaki Jun waved his hand, indicating he wouldn't wander off. Besides, the island was small. Aside from the small area where the clan and citizens lived, the rest was just wilderness. It didn't matter where he went. Reluctantly, the guard could only agree and send someone to inform the daimyo. Uzumaki Jun gazed at the once peaceful and harmonious nation, now blanketed in silence. Yet, despite the oppressive atmosphere, the citizens still held hope in their eyes. This was because they believed in their long-standing allies, the Kanaha of the Land of Fire. Surely, they would come to their aid. After all, Kanaha's emblem bore the spiral of Uzushiagakuer. What did that mean? It was a symbol of their friendship. How could Kanaha refuse to help? Once Kanaha arrived, everything would be fine. Because Kanaha was incredibly strong. With the war nearing its end, it was clear that Kanaha was the victor. A mere defeated village like Kirigakuer would be crushed in no time under their combined forces. But they didn't know that this time, when the leader of the Uzumaki clan went to Kanaha to seek help, he would return rejected. The land of Whirlpools would be annihilated, the Uzumaki clan reduced to refugees, scattered across the ninja world, living tragic lives. In the end, the pure-blooded Uzumaki clan would practically be extinct, their signature red hair replaced by blonde. Uzumaki Jun sighed as he looked around Uzushiagakuer. As a transmigrator, not only had he not ended up in Kanaha, but he also had no cheat abilities. Worse, he had been reborn in the doomed land of Whirlpools. It was heartbreaking. And as the son of the daimyo, the future ruler of the nation, he couldn't just stand by and watch his country fall before fleeing to Kanaha as an orphan. Moreover, the complete annihilation of the Uzumaki clan couldn't have happened without Kanaha's involvement. Once Uzumaki Mito successfully became a Jinkraki, the Uzumaki clan was doomed. Kanaha would never allow other villages to obtain Jinkraki. For Kanaha, one Uzumaki was enough. While other nations adopted the one nation, one village policy, the land of Whirlpools was a one village, one nation, yet it was still destroyed by Kirigakuer. The entire country consisted of just one clan, the Uzumaki. The daimyo was an Uzumaki. With the full strength of the nation and the clan, they still couldn't stop Kirigakuer. If there wasn't someone pulling strings behind the scenes, Uzumaki Jun could only scoff. On the other hand, the Uzumaki clan's nature was also to blame. They were kind, straightforward, stubborn, and hot-tempered. They acted without thinking. Perhaps this was why they failed to use their home advantage. Provoked by a few taunts, they charged recklessly into battle, leading to their downfall on their own turf. The Uzumaki were a long-lived clan, an ancient lineage that had existed since antiquity. Without accidents, most could live over 100 years. So, the clan member and the strength of its elders should have been considerable. Yet, they were still annihilated on their own land. It was truly Jun nii. A sweet voice called from behind. Uzumaki Jun's face softened into a smile. Kushina, what's wrong? A cute little girl around 5 or 6 years old with bright red hair walked up to him. Uzumaki Jun patted her head. Why do you look so upset? Did someone bully you? This was Uzumaki Kushina, the future mother of the child of prophecy, also known as the red-hot-blooded habanero. But right now, she was just an adorable little girl. Uzumaki Jun guessed that her fiery temper in Kanaha was a defense mechanism. After witnessing her homeland's destruction and enduring bullying in the academy, she had no choice but to become fierce. Dad came back, but he ignored me, Kushina pouted. He seemed really angry. Hearing this, Uzumaki Jun paused, then sighed heavily. It seemed history remained unchanged. He looked at Kushina with pity. Though she would eventually meet a loving husband, become the Hokage's wife, and live happily, her fate was still tragic. After becoming the Nine Tails Jinkraki, she was practically imprisoned by Kanaha, mocked and bullied by the villagers. And during her childbirth, someone would take advantage of her weakness. At this thought, a cold glint flashed in Uzumaki Jun's eyes. Damn it! If he could just survive this crisis, he would strengthen the nation's power. If Kanaha ever dared to spout nonsense about their eternal friendship, he'd spit right in the third Hokage's face. Maybe Uncle Clan had encountered something upsetting, Uzumaki Jun comforted her, patting her head. He didn't mean to ignore you. Really? Kushina looked up hopefully. Uzumaki Jun smiled. Kids always craved their parents' attention. Of course. Kushina is too cute for anyone to ignore. Kushina's face turned red, and she shyly lowered her head. Kids these days mature so fast. By the way, where is Uncle Clan head now? Uzumaki Jun asked. He couldn't let things continue like this. If nothing changed, the land of whirlpools would surely fall, its territory reduced to the nearly ninjaless land of waves. As a transmigrator and the heir to a nation, if he didn't even get to enjoy power, wealth, or a harem before being driven into exile or worse killed, it would be too humiliating. Is this forcing me to conquer the ninja world? Uzumaki Jun sighed inwardly. But right now, he had no power. Even as a genius, his age limited him to Jnin-level strength. And his system UG. It wouldn't activate. When he first transmigrated as a child and discovered he had a system, he thought his peak life had arrived. He set a goal, become the god of shinobi by 7, crush the ninja world, defeat the sage of 6 paths. But the system wouldn't start. Now, he couldn't even allocate stat points. How was he supposed to become the god of shinobi by 7 and dominate the world? He's in the meeting room. He called the elders for a discussion, Kushina murmured, still blushing. Uzumaki Jun frowned. It seemed war preparations were being made. I need to talk to Uncle Clan head. I'll play with you next time, Kushina. He would not let the Uzumaki clan perish. He would not let his people become refugees. And Kushina? She would live happily in the land of whirlpools. Okay. Though disappointed, Kushina nodded obediently. Even at her age, she understood when things were serious. Seeing Juneni's usual smile gone, she knew he had important matters to handle. Damn Kanaha! How could they do this? Chapter 2, Being a child makes everything so difficult. Before Uzumaki Jun even entered the meeting room, he could hear the furious voices of the clan elders. Damn Kanaha! How could they do this? How could they do this? One elder roared, slamming the table. How much did we sacrifice for Kanaha during the war? What about Lord Hashirama's promises to us back then? What about the Senju clan's vow to stand together? How could they betray us like this? Clan head, what did the Hokage say? Another elder asked calmly, though his clenched fists betrayed his anger. The Hokage said their village is weakened from the war and can't spare the strength to help us. Ha! Can't help us? If that's the case, how does Kirigakure still have the strength to attack us? Did they not fight in the war? They were the losing side. Kanaha has truly disappointed us. What about the Senju clan? The elder remained composed, but his grip tightened further. The Senju wanted to help, but the Hokage stopped them. Especially that disciple of Lord Tobirama, Danzo. He said they regret the land of Whirlpool's plight but have no obligation to shield us from Kirigakure. Damn those bastards! I wish I could kill them all. The entire meeting hall erupted in fury. We gave everything to support them in the war, and this is how they repay us. Weren't we supposed to be eternal allies? How could they treat us like this? And now, the land of whirlpools is. In the war we lost too much. We can't hold back Kirigakure anymore. One elder bowed his head in regret. Is there really no hope for the land of whirlpools? Of course there is. Just as despair filled the room, a childish voice rang out. Everyone turned to see a boy around 6 or 7 years old standing at the entrance. It's little Jun. The clan head frowned sternly. This is no place for a child. Since the land of whirlpools was founded by the Uzumaki clan, nearly everyone in the country was a clansman. Jun, go back. This isn't something you should be involved in, the daimyo of the land of whirlpools commanded, ignoring Jun's claim that there was a solution. No matter how clever Jun was, no one would believe a child could save the nation. Father. Clan head. Uzumaki Jun greeted them respectfully, then ignoring the warning looks from his father and the clan head marched forward with a serious expression. He dragged a chair over, climbed onto it, and slammed his small hand on the table. Thud. Still too weak. The sound wasn't sharp enough. What are you doing? Uzumaki Jun. How dare you disrespect the elders? The clan head scolded, not wanting the clan's youngest genius to earn their disdain. If the worst happened to the land of whirlpools, the future would rest on these young shoulders. But Uzumaki Jun ignored him and spoke in a firm, youthful voice. Back when Kanaha asked for our support, I warned you not to trust them. But you dismissed me as a naive child who didn't understand the friendship between the Uzumaki and Kanaha. When the clan head went to seek Kanaha's help, I told you they wouldn't come. I told you to prepare for war. But you refused to believe me, insisting Kanaha would honor our bond. And now? Look at us. After everything we sacrificed for Kanaha in the war, what has become of the Uzumaki? When Kirigakure invades, how does Kanaha repay us? Are you still going to be this naive? Uzumaki Jun shouted. Silence fell over the room. He was right. Jun had warned them. But they hadn't listened. Now, they were in this dire situation. They, the elders, had been more blind than a child. How laughable. Kanaha hasn't been the same since Lord Hashirama died, Uzumaki Jun sighed. Being so young, no matter how logical his words were, people dismissed them as childish nonsense. Sigh. The great elder lifted his aged face, his voice trembling with guilt. You're right. It's because of us old fools that things have come to this. We've failed the Uzumaki clan. Seeing the elder's remorse, Uzumaki Jun felt relieved. This was why he loved the Uzumaki clan. Unlike other clans, their elders weren't stubborn or arrogant. They were kind, straightforward, and honorable, which was also why they had trusted Kanaha so blindly. The land of whirlpools was a paradise compared to Kanaha's false peace and hidden schemes. But its leaders were too naive, too trusting. That was why Kanaha had betrayed them and stolen everything. We didn't even trust our own clansmen. Instead, we believed outsiders. We're sinners to the Uzumaki name. The elders bowed their heads in shame, tears streaming down their aged faces. Even the clan head and the daimyo looked devastated. Their mistakes had brought the land of whirlpools to the brink of destruction. No, elders. Clan head. There's still hope. The land of whirlpools won't fall. Uzumaki Jun's small face was resolute as he bowed. Please believe in me. Now they would have to listen. He might be young, but he wasn't an ordinary Uzumaki. Unlike the rest of his clan who, judging by the series, were all hopelessly naive, he knew better. Uzumaki Mito, her homeland destroyed, her clan slaughtered, yet she devoted herself to managing her husband's assets. Naruto, a privileged Hokage's son, bullied and mocked as a child, brainwashed by the old Hokage's will of fire, sacrificing everything for Kanaha, never questioning why his father's legacy was stolen, why he was left eating expired food, stunting his growth. All for the sake of chasing after his crush. Nagato, founded the world's most powerful criminal organization, yet instead of ruling the ninja world, he obsessed over his dead friend's dream, ignored the woman who loved him, and after one talk with Naruto, collapsed in tears, wailing about his mistakes. Never mind that he'd killed his own teacher. And Karin, well, getting stabbed by her crush and still crying, I forgive you. Your happiness is mine. Uzumaki Jun had thoughts about women like that. Why had he never met a girl like that? The elders exchanged glances. Finally, the great elder sighed. Speak. What is your plan? The clan head and I will listen. The entire Uzumaki clan will follow you. Things couldn't get worse. Maybe their young genius could surprise them. If only they had listened earlier. Sigh. Uzumaki Jun brightened, then looked at his father, the daimyo. The daimyo sighed, pride and guilt warring in his expression. His mistakes had led the country to ruin. If only he had seen Kanaha's true nature sooner. Now, the burden fell on a child. He smiled, from this moment onward, the land of whirlpools will obey your orders. Yes. Uzumaki Jun nodded solemnly. The land of whirlpools will not fall. It will grow stronger. Trust me. Though small and sparsely populated, the land of whirlpools had one advantage: nearly everyone was an Uzumaki. Even non-shinobi possessed vast chakra and vitality. With the full strength of the nation and clan, they could hold off Kirigakure at least until the war ended. If Kirigakure still dared to invade afterward, the other villages wouldn't stand by. Otherwise, screw this. We just ended the war, and you're still grabbing land? For the sake of peace, they'd have to intervene. Especially Kanaha, the self-proclaimed peacekeepers. They couldn't let the land of whirlpools fall after the war. That would raise questions: was the war really over? And since the land of whirlpools was nominally Kanaha's ally, refusing to help post-war would be unforgivable. Kanaha still cared about its reputation. Therefore, the land of whirlpools must prepare for war. Only then do we have a chance of survival, Uzumaki Jun declared. But the civilians, the elders, hesitated. Using the entire country as a battlefield would be too cruel. No. The civilians, children, women, and elders, I have another arrangement for them. A year ago, I began preparing a shelter where they can hide. If only they had trusted him sooner, he could have done more. You mean that underground tunnel you dug? The clan head asked. They had all been puzzled by Jun's project but dismissed it as a child's whim. Exactly. Uzumaki Jun nodded. It's large enough to hold all of the land of whirlpool's civilians. A year of work, with shinobi assistance, had made it massive. The only challenge had been finding earth-natured shinobi in a nation dominated by wind and water affinities. Little Jun planned ahead. The great elder smiled, his faith in the boy growing. Perhaps. There really was hope. We will follow your orders. Give your commands, Prince Jun. The elders exchanged glances, their resolve firm this time, no longer out of desperation, but conviction. Seeing their sincerity, Uzumaki Jun didn't hesitate. First, we must reassure the people. Chapter 3, It's time to cut ties with fake allies. The first step in preparing for war was to reassure the people. In a nationwide, all-clan war, internal discord could be fatal. Facing the confused citizens suddenly gathered before him, Uzumaki Jun realized the advantage of a small nation with a sparse population: it was easy to mobilize everyone. Yet, his heart ached. Though the land of whirlpools was a recognized nation, it was far too small. After exchanging glances with the clan head and the daimyo standing beside him, Jun took a deep breath and stepped forward. The clan head and elders followed closely. The citizens didn't understand why they had been summoned, especially with Prince Jun standing ahead of the clan head and daimyo. But the grim expressions on the elders' faces told them something was wrong. The crowd quickly fell silent. The clan head stepped forward from Jun's left and spoke loudly, "First, we must apologize. Our poor decisions have brought the land of whirlpools to the brink of destruction." He took a deep breath, then bowed alongside the elders. "We are sorry." No. It's not your fault, clan head." "Right. It's Kirigakure's doing. Blame them." Hearing their forgiveness, the clan head's eyes welled with tears. This situation was entirely their fault, they had ignored their own clansmen's warnings and trusted outsiders instead. And now. Yet, despite everything, their people still believed in them. Clenching his fists, the clan head suppressed a cold rage. "Kanaha." Looking at the worried, uneasy faces below, he said, "Thank you. Thank you for forgiving us. Thank you for still trusting us." Wiping his tears, he straightened and declared sternly, "Second, from this moment onward, all Uzumaki will obey Prince Jun's orders. Anyone who disobeys." His sharp gaze swept over the crowd. "Will be exiled from the land of whirlpools and struck from the Uzumaki clan registry." In this era, where survival still heavily relied on clan structures, expulsion was a severe punishment. The crowd erupted in murmurs, but the clan head's stern expression silenced them. He wasn't joking. Once order was restored, the daimyo stepped forward. "By the authority of the land of whirlpools daimyo, I hereby entrust full governance of the nation to Uzumaki Jun. Every aspect, every individual, including myself, will follow his directives." Though shocked, the people quickly quieted. The clan head had already set the tone. Yes. They shouted in unison. Seeing the atmosphere was right, Uzumaki Jun stepped up. His youthful face carried an uncharacteristic seriousness as he announced, "You all know me, Prince of the Land of Whirlpools, first in line to succeed the daimyo. But that's not what matters now. From this moment, I will temporarily assume command to lead us against Kirigakuru's invasion." When you heard Kirigakuru was attacking, you were confused, worried but not afraid. He paused. Because you believed, as the entire Uzumaki clan did, that Kanaha was our closest friend, our brother. That they would surely come to our aid. But... Jun sighed. You were wrong. We treated them as brothers, but they saw us as tools. They let the Uzumaki bleed and sweat for them, sacrifice so much in their wars. And when we begged for help, his voice hardened. They refused. Gasps spread through the crowd. Disbelief. How? This was Lord Hashirama's promise. How could they betray us? Those bastards after everything we've done for them? After Lord Hashirama's vow. Silence. The clan head's roar cut through the despair. Even he struggled to stay composed. After all their trust, Kanaha had fake allies. The crowd quieted, but hopelessness filled their eyes. Alone, the Land of Whirlpools stood no chance not after losing so many in Kanaha's wars. Was this truly the end? Yes. Hearing this, you feel despair. Fear. Seeing the mood shift dangerously, Jun knew it was time to pivot. If morale collapsed now, the war would be lost before it began. Maybe this was why, in the original timeline, the Uzumaki were nearly wiped out. No preparation, no spirit left to fight. But, Jun declared firmly, I swear on my name as the next daimyo of the Land of Whirlpools and as an Uzumaki, this nation will not fall. I will stand with the Uzumaki clan until the end. A flicker of hope sparked in the crowd, but it quickly dimmed. Who would believe a 7-year-old? Noticing this, the daimyo stepped forward. By my authority as daimyo, I swear under Uzumaki Jun's leadership, the Land of Whirlpools will not perish. The Uzumaki clan stands with this nation until death. The clan head followed. As leader of the Uzumaki clan, I swear the same. Then the great elder. As elder of the Uzumaki clan, I swear it. One by one, the elders pledged their faith. Seeing even the daimyo and clan head believe in this child, the people's hope reignited. If they trusted him, why shouldn't they? Now, citizens of the Land of Whirlpools, clansmen of the Uzumaki, hear my orders. Jun seized the moment. From this day, forget our so-called brothers in Kanaha. Only by relying on ourselves can this nation survive and grow stronger. Damn these fake allies. Better to cut ties now before they stab us in the back. Yes. The crowd roared. Shinobi will escort the elderly, women, and children into the underground shelter. All citizens, Uzumaki or not, must enter. Stay there until the war ends. I've stored enough supplies to last 6 months. We will drive Kirigakura out by then. Yes. All Jonin and Chunin, report for assignments immediately. Jun raised his voice. I hereby declare, the Land of Whirlpools is now at war. We will not become a nation of slaves. We will not be slaves. Kushina. Chapter 4, If Uzumaki falls, this novel ends. Kushina. Seeing the ninjas filing into the room, Uzumaki Jun felt relieved. As long as their spirits remained unbroken, Uzushio would not fall. But when he noticed the last figure, a little girl with red hair, he asked in confusion, why are you still here? I want to help too, Kushina said, clenching her small fists and lowering her head, not daring to meet Jun's gaze. Hearing her words, Jun's expression darkened. Nonsense. Go hide in the underground shelter immediately. This was no joke. If anything happened to Kushina, not only would the clan leader hold it against him, but he himself would feel guilty and regretful. After all, she was such an adorable little girl. Hurry up. Children shouldn't be involved in this, the clan leader said sternly. War is no place for kids. But Kushina stubbornly raised her head. But Junin is a kid too. Why can he join? I'm strong as well. The little girl had a point. The meeting room fell silent. No one knew how to respond. Because I'm your brother, and the heir of this country, Jun said, forcing himself to sound firm. Suddenly, an idea struck him. Besides, I'm already a genin of Uzushio. Thankfully, he had officially become a genin not long ago. Even though his status meant he never went on missions, he was still a legitimate ninja. As a proud shinobi, how could he hide in the rear? Even if he was just a genin. But Kushina pouted unhappily, but she couldn't think of a counter-argument. Instead, she resorted to stubbornness. No. I want to help too. This is my home, and I want to protect it. Don't worry. Nothing will happen, Jun said softly, seeing the redness in her eyes. Though young, she understood the gravity of Ozashio's situation, fearful, nervous, yet still wanting to contribute. This little girl was really... Jun could only comfort her, speaking firmly. Jun and I promises you, I will protect Uzashio and Uzashiagaku. No one will get hurt. But Kushina's eyes welled up, her lips trembling as she fought back tears. I want to help too. Kushina wants to help. Seeing her like this, Jun knew that if he refused, she'd sneak out on her own. He had no doubt after all, she was the red-hot-blooded habanero. After a moment of thought, he walked up to her and gently patted her head. Her soft red hair felt nice. Kushina's face turned bright red at his touch, especially in front of so many people. Jun and really, she shyly lowered her head. Seeing his daughter like this, the clan leader smiled faintly, though the worry in his eyes remained. If Ozashio really fell, the younger generation must escape, especially Uzumaki Jun. As long as he survived, the Uzumaki clan could rebuild. He believed it because Jun was their hope. Exchanging glances with the elders, they all silently agreed. Since Kushina wants to help, Jun said with a smile, I, as the acting commander of Ozashio, hereby order Uzumaki Kushina to lead our people in the underground shelter, keeping them calm and ensuring no accidents occur. At first, Kushina was thrilled to receive an order, but then... She pouted. But I want to stay with Jun and I. She wasn't fooled. Going back to the shelter was no different from before. No, this mission is very important, Jun said seriously. Don't underestimate it, Kushina. Keeping people patiently waiting underground for so long wouldn't be easy, especially knowing a war raged outside. If the shelter was discovered by Kirigaku ninjas, the consequences were unthinkable. Really? Kushina eyed him skeptically, as if saying, I'm young, but don't lie to me. Of course. Jun smiled. Only Kushina can do this. As the clan leader's daughter, no one was better suited to reassure the people. Then okay. After a moment, Kushina nodded firmly. I won't let anything happen in the shelter. Jun patted her head again and turned to his guard. Anaki, I'll leave it to you. He subtly signaled Uzumaki. Anaki, remember my words. If anyone causes trouble in the shelter, eliminate them immediately. He couldn't afford any mistakes. Uzashio had no room for error. Only then would there be hope. Your Highness, another Uzumaki girl is requesting to see you, another Uzashio ninja suddenly reported. Another little girl? Who? Jun asked, feeling awkward under his father's teasing gaze and the clan leader's disapproving frown. A civilian from our clan, the ninja replied. A civilian? Not a ninja? Jun didn't recall knowing so many little girls. Who could it be? When a girl around 10 years old entered, Jun grew even more puzzled. Long red hair, a gentle aura, he didn't recognize her. What do you need? Your Highness, I'm Uzumaki Kyoko, the girl said timidly, intimidated by the elders and the clan leader. But thinking of Ozashio's crisis, she gathered her courage. I. Seeing her fear, Jun smiled reassuringly. Don't be afraid. We're all Uzumaki. In that case, Kyoko-ne is my elder sister. She was a pretty girl, her red hair unmistakably Uzumaki. Encouraged, Kyoko lifted her head. I want to help too. But seeing Jun frown, she quickly added, my body is special. No matter how exhausted or injured someone is, biting me will heal them. Hey? This sounded familiar. Wasn't this the ability of the Karin and Mother duo? This was a rare Uzumaki trait, only appearing in those with overflowing life force. Even he, a genius, didn't have it. And Kyoko? Could she be Karin's mother? The clan leader stepped forward, taking Kyoko's hand to examine her. After a moment, he nodded solemnly at Jun. To think such a talent existed among the civilians, this was heaven's aid. This constitution was extremely rare, even among the Uzumaki. Among the younger generation, she was the only one discovered so far. Seeing the clan leader's confirmation, Jun knew it was true. How enviable! Not only could this ability heal others, but it also enhanced survival. Their vitality surpassed even ordinary Uzumaki. After a pause, Jun said, "Then we'll rely on you, Kyoko-ne." Every bit of strength counted, especially a healer for the reckless Uzumaki. Their lack of medical ninjutsu was likely why Uzushio fell while Kirigakure had medics. The Uzumaki relied on their own resilience. In war, there was no time to wait for natural recovery. Seeing that everyone had arrived, Jun declared solemnly, "Now, we begin war preparations." Chapter 5, Hit and Run Tactics. Uzumaki Jun was all too familiar with examples of the weak defeating the strong. Especially since this world had just emerged from a brutal warring states period, and due to the nature of ninjutsu, tactical thinking here was rudimentary at best, decapitation strikes, head-on clashes, ambushes, and at slightly more advanced levels, luring the enemy away. This was largely because the power gap in this world was too extreme. Overcoming stronger opponents was nearly impossible, as absolute power rendered most schemes useless. Yet now, the land of whirlpools had no choice but to rely on strategy to survive. To execute such plans, they needed to match soldiers against soldiers and leaders against leaders, while also applying the guerrilla warfare principles of hit-and-run tactics. Only then could they hope to halt the invasion of Kirigakure. Of course, if he had actually studied the works of Clausewitz or Machiavelli, he might have been able to use their strategies for some unexpected advantage. But, as an otaku, when had he ever read military theory? The only tactics he vaguely remembered were divide and conquer and retreat to fight another day. The rest were a complete blank. Fortunately, the land of whirlpools was a small island nation. Due to its sparse population, they hadn't occupied the entire island, so use this line as the boundary. Lure all of Kirigakure's forces into this area. Jun pointed to a region on the map covered in dense forests, which would serve as natural barriers to slow Kirigakure's advance. By hiding their forces and using ghillie suits, they could leverage the terrain and the nation's full strength to stall the enemy. This way, they wouldn't need to waste manpower guarding the rear. Meanwhile, residential and commercial districts would be evacuated and demolished. The command center and medical units would relocate to hidden locations, with strict orders to avoid unnecessary movement. Kirigakure would only realize something was wrong when they saw this. By then, they'd have to send scouts to investigate. And Jun refused to believe Kirigakure had more sensory ninja than the Uzumaki clan. As long as they confined the enemy to a specific zone, they could play a game of cat and mouse. Jun tapped the map and declared, "Remember, when the enemy advances, we retreat. When they camp, we harass. When they tire, we strike. When they retreat, we pursue. Use the terrain to wage guerrilla warfare against Kirigakure." His tone turned grave as he eyed the uneasy ninja below. "This is our only path to victory. Every one of you must follow this plan without fail. Anyone who acts recklessly will be stricken from the clan registry." Damn it, he was most worried about these hotheads who'd rush into battle shouting, "For the Uzumaki's glory!" and get themselves killed. They were already outnumbered. If they didn't use terrain and strategy, their only option would be to flee with Kushina. Hearing Jun's words, the ninja stiffened and replied in unison, "Understood." Satisfied, Jun nodded. The key to this strategy is matching soldiers to soldiers and leaders to leaders. If you can't win, run. If you can. A cold smirk crossed his face. Kill them all. Even the cannon fodder had to be eliminated. As for the stronger enemies, seal them if possible. If not, drown them in numbers later. If Kirigakure suffered heavy losses without gaining any advantage, even the Mizukage wouldn't be able to ignore the dissent within the village. Eventually, he'd have no choice but to turn his attention elsewhere. After all, even cannon fodder were still ninja. "Remember, if you can't win, retreat," Jun emphasized. Their priority was whittling down the enemy's low-tier forces, leaving the high-tier ones for later. Next, they had to split Kirigakure's forces. If an elite squad led by a cage-level ninja pushed straight in, this plan would fail. So from the very beginning, they needed to deliver a gift. Jun smirked. "Anaki, bring out what I prepared." Though young, as the crown prince, he had enjoyed considerable freedom and convenience over the years. He had never forgotten to prepare for this war. Uzumaki Anaki and several guards carried in 10 large wooden crates. "Open them." With a clatter, the crates revealed their contents, eliciting gasps of shock from the gathered ninja. Even the daimyo and clan leader stared in disbelief. So many explosive tags. Wait, where did the money come from? Had this kid embezzled the national treasury? Jun smiled at their stunned expressions. These were the explosive tags he had spent years stockpiling, using well, reallocating funds from the treasury. Not embezzling. More like an advance withdrawal. If the country fell, these would just end up in enemy hands anyway. Might as well give Kirigakure a fiery welcome. It wasn't as extravagant as Konan's 600 billion tags, but after years of accumulation, the stockpile was still impressive. Once they land, bury 100 million explosive tags here. Let's give them a warm welcome. Jun's voice was icy. Did they really think they could invade a time traveler's nation without consequences? Provoking Kirigakure was the only way to split their forces and secure victory. To avoid detection, the tags had to be spread out, forming a perimeter that would force the enemy to fight even if they realized the trap. Kirigakure wouldn't take things slow, speed was crucial for maximizing gains. Delays risked unforeseen complications. So baiting, enraging, and harassing them was Jun's only viable plan. And Uncle Clan Leader, did you deliver the letter I wrote to Grandma Mito? Chapter 6, Uzumaki Clan Exclusive Jutsu +1. Uncle Clan Leader, did you deliver the letter I asked you to give to Grandma Mito? Uzumaki Jun asked the clan leader with confusion. If they had those two jutsu, their chances of success would be much higher. Although he knew that Uzumaki Mito was too old now and the Hidden Leaf village still relied on her, making it impossible for her to leave, Jun had still asked the clan leader to find a chance to meet her and secretly deliver his letter. This also showed how foolish the Uzumaki clan was. In the end, when the clan was wiped out, their secret techniques were obtained by the leaf. Right now, only Grandma Mito knew the sealing techniques in the leaf, while the rest of the village only understood the basics. But if Kushina went to the leaf, all the sealing techniques would eventually fall into their hands. Not only did they die and get betrayed, but their legacy was also stolen. If anyone said the leaf wasn't behind this, Uzumaki Jun wouldn't believe it. They had probably been eyeing the Uzumaki clan's sealing techniques for a long time, just waiting for them to die out so they could inherit everything. Yes, Lady Mito gave me something to bring back. Although he didn't know what Jun had written in the letter, Lady Mito had solemnly handed him a scroll and told him to give it to Uzumaki Jun. Where is it? Jun asked excitedly. If it contained those two jutsu. Here. The clan leader formed a hand sign. Summoning jutsu. A scroll appeared, which he handed to Jun with great seriousness. It seemed whatever Lady Mito had given him was no ordinary item. Jun took it and immediately opened it. After reading the apology letter from Grandma Mito at the beginning, he reached the end. He burst into laughter. Good, good. With these two jutsu, we have another chance at victory. Jutsu? What jutsu? Did Lady Mito leave behind some forbidden techniques that could help them win? The clan leader and elders leaned in and saw. Multiple shadow clone jutsu and mutually multiplying explosive tags, two forbidden jutsu developed by the second Hokage. How could these help in the current war? These two jutsu are perfect for our situation, Jun explained seriously. Using shadow clones to harass the enemy, Jun refused to believe that every Uzumaki ninja using multiple shadow clones wouldn't have a disorienting effect. Maybe they couldn't produce as many as Naruto, but with so many people combined, creating hundreds of thousands or even millions of clones would at least scare the enemy. Even if it didn't, the clones could still disrupt them and increase their chances of survival. As for mutually multiplying explosive tags, they would increase the power of explosive tags while reducing consumption. His 1 billion explosive tags could now have the effect of 10 billion. A swarm of shadow clones using transformation jutsu to feign an all-out attack, if they lacked numbers, clones would make up for it. Then, they could secretly surround the area with explosive tags. Come on, let's fight to the death. With this, Jun refused to believe the Mizukage wouldn't send his ninjas charging forward. After all, shadow clones were physical entities, and without special eye techniques, it was impossible to distinguish them. Right now, the Mist Sao probably hadn't obtained the Byakugan yet. This was also an advantage of fighting on their home turf. On an open battlefield, this strategy wouldn't be as effective. And for the sake of prolonged combat, each person couldn't create too many clones. The pain feedback from explosive tags had to be distributed among multiple people. Jun scanned the crowd and said, "You must master these two jutsu as soon as possible, especially multiple shadow clones." Since this jutsu was similar to the regular shadow clone jutsu, learning it shouldn't be too difficult. And for now, regular shadow clones would suffice. Due to their massive chakra reserves, Uzumaki ninjas could produce far more clones than average shinobi. Maybe not as many as Naruto, but compared to ordinary ninjas. Well, it was like comparing a jonin to a genin. Only the Senju clan could rival them in this aspect. We must not retreat. Our homes and families are here. If we lose, everything will be gone. So I'm counting on you. Lord Jun. All the ninjas looked at Uzumaki Jun, who had bowed deeply, their eyes red. They knew he was right. If they lost, then... Now, squad leaders, take your teams and spread out across the forest, Jun ordered loudly. Remember, we will win. Yes. The ninjas shouted in unison. As they began to leave, the elders exchanged glances before turning to Jun. Jun, what do you need us old folks to do? Jun took a deep breath and bowed to them. There's a very important mission for you. Seeing his expression, the elders knew this task would be extremely dangerous, possibly fatal. They laughed heartily. No need to hesitate, Jun. As long as it helps the Uzumaki clan and the land of whirlpools, just tell us. That's right. We've lived long enough. Don't worry, just say it. Ha! Even if we die, we'll make the mist pay dearly. Go on, tell us. Why so hesitant now? The clan leader patted Jun's head with a smile. Where's the bold Lord Jun from the meeting? Just say it. Clan leader, elders, Jun took another deep breath, wiping away tears. I need you to stop the mist's strongest ninjas when they appear. Don't let a single one escape, even if it costs your lives. That's right, even if it cost their lives. The Uzumaki clan simply didn't have enough powerful fighters left. The older generation was past their prime, unable to fight at full strength. And without any cage-level shinobi, the only option was Dead Demon Consuming Seal, the Uzumaki clan's forbidden sealing jutsu. By selling their souls to the Shinigami, they could summon it to seal their target's soul. Even if they couldn't win, they could still seal their enemies away. Is that all? The elders burst into laughter. Of course. I've lived long enough. If I'm going to die, I might as well take down at least a Jonin-level enemy. Let them see the Uzumaki clan isn't to be trifled with. Exactly. I'll seal a cage-level opponent. Shut up, you old fool. A cage? Leave the Mizukage to me. Ha! The Mizukage is mine. Seeing the elders' fearless laughter, Jun's tears fell again. I'm counting on you. Don't worry, the elder said. Just tell us what to do. Jun wiped his tears and spoke seriously. Hide for now. When the mist can't hold back and sends their strongest fighters to stop our ninjas, that's when you strike. Yes. The elders replied firmly. Then, the clan leader thought for a moment. Jun, shouldn't we assign someone to protect you? Chapter 7, You're too weak, pathetically weak. The battlefield is so dangerous that accidents could happen at any moment. He definitely didn't want the genius of the Uzumaki clan to die. And if they couldn't hold the line. As long as someone from the Uzumaki clan survived, there would still be hope. Me. Uzumaki Jun sneered when the clan head asked for his opinion. I'll blow up the Kirigakure ships. That's the only way we can outlast them in a war of attrition. The second step was to wear them down. There was no way Kirigakure, with their village so far away, could swim back and forth to deliver supplies. If they managed to destroy this fleet on the first day. Even if Kirigakure assembled another fleet to send reinforcements and supplies, Jun was confident they could hold Uzumaki. By depleting a large portion of their forces, Kirigakure would be under immense pressure, especially since the war was still ongoing. No. Before he could even explain his plan, everyone immediately objected, including his father. No, absolutely not. It's too dangerous. Right, you should hide in the rear or in the underground shelters instead. Leave this mission to us old folks. Though he was touched by the elders and the clan head's concern, Jun still believed he had to be the one to do it. They couldn't just rush in and plant explosives immediately, they had to wait. Wait until the enemy was caught off guard, their vigilance lowered, before blowing up the ships to prevent them from sailing back to Kirigakure. Destroying this fleet would make it extremely difficult for Kirigakure to assemble another one, even as one of the 5 great shinobi villages. This mission couldn't afford any mistakes. It wasn't that he looked down on the Uzumaki clan, but the truth was, due to their chakra nature, the Uzumaki clan had long lifespans, but they were also hot-tempered and stubborn. Waiting for the perfect moment might lead to unforeseen complications. Seeing the determination in Jun's eyes, the elder sighed and said, "In that case, let the clan head and me accompany you." No matter what, they couldn't let anything happen to Jun. Initially, they had thought the Uzumaki clan might not survive this disaster and had planned to arrange for some members to flee. But now, perhaps they really could win. After considering it, Jun agreed. He didn't know how many shinobi Kirigakure had brought, but destroying a country required a substantial force. He didn't plan to go alone either, having a few high-ranking members with him was necessary for safety. Otherwise, just him and a few guards might end up dead. For the sake of his own life, he accepted the elder's proposal. A transmigrator dying on a bombing mission, how ridiculous would that be? In that case, I'll go too, the second elder said after a moment of thought. With more people, even if something goes wrong, we can still escape. Right, I'll go too. Me as well. Blowing up ships sounds exciting. No. If this continued, the entire council would end up joining. It wasn't that having more people was bad, this wasn't an assassination mission, so numbers weren't an issue, but too many would make them easier to detect. Jun quickly shook his head. Too many people will make us too noticeable. The elder thought for a moment, then sighed. Fine. Then let me, the clan head, the second elder, the third elder, up to the 10th elder go together. Seeing Jun about to protest, he shot him a stern look. Jun could only awkwardly wave his hand in resignation. 10 people wouldn't be too conspicuous, and since they didn't know how many ships there were, having more hands wouldn't hurt. What about me? The daimyo pointed at himself. This brat hadn't assigned him a role yet. Jun blinked, realizing he'd forgotten about his father. After a moment of thought, he said, "How about you take command at the headquarters?" The headquarters only had a few people, mostly medics. He had placed it in a highly concealed location and ordered that wounded shinobi must never reveal its location. The security there was minimal, and they had to operate discreetly. The medics were essential for their prolonged resistance, so their safety was non-negotiable. The daimyo's eye twitched at his son's suggestion. His clansmen and even his child were heading to the front lines, while he hid in the rear. Was he that kind of coward? The Uzumaki had no cowards. He was about to angrily refuse and demand to join Jun in the bombing mission when Jun shook his head. No choice. You're too weak, father. Too weak. The man was already middle-aged but still only a chunin, and his skills had dulled from years in the palace. His actual combat ability was laughable. Damn brat. Since when did he talk to his father like this? The daimyo rolled up his sleeves, ready to teach his son a lesson. Surely the kid wasn't stronger than him? And even if he was, would he dare fight back? Impossible. Don't even try, Dad. You can't beat me now, Jun said warily, stepping back. I'm already chunin level. What if you embarrass yourself? Chunin. Everyone stared at him in disbelief before turning to Jun's personal guard, Uzumaki Nagisa. Nagisa sighed and nodded. The young master is already stronger than me. The clan head and elder burst into laughter. Ha ha ha. Good, good. As expected of the Uzumaki clan's genius. A 7-year-old chunin, and even stronger than most. Ha ha ha. Heaven blesses the Uzumaki. Genius? Heaven's blessing? Jun scoffed. In the future, there'd be a 10-year-old jonin, a one-eyed manjiki-wielding cage-level kid, and even a bunch of Kanaha genin who could casually stomp cage-level opponents. A chunin like him was just average. The daimyo should follow the young master's arrangements, the clan head said after some thought. Don't worry, we won't let anything happen to him. He understood that Jun wasn't just considering strength, perhaps it was also because this was his father. He didn't want the daimyo to be in danger. The daimyo looked at Jun's expression, then sighed angrily. Brat, don't you dare get hurt. Or I'll have your mother deal with you. Father. Jun opened his mouth but ultimately said nothing. Instead, he nodded with a smile. Of course. I'm a genius, after all. And besides, we will definitely win. Chapter 8, If Ninjutsu fails, use technology. Captain Kamaki, do you think Lord Jun's plan will really work? Asked a Whirlpool village ninja, his face full of worry. Given the current situation, could they really protect the land of whirlpools? After all, their enemy was Kirigakure, one of the 5 great shinobi villages, home to several Kekkei Genkai clans. Meanwhile, they only had the Uzumaki clan. Though the Uzumaki clan had many members, they were far from being able to establish a country. Their high-level combat power was limited, and they didn't even have a cage. It will work, Uzumaki Kamaki said firmly. Because, we can't afford to lose. That's right. They couldn't lose. If they did, their homes, families, and clans would disappear. Even their property would be seized by others. Everyone fell silent. Don't look so down, Captain Kamaki forced a smile. Trust Lord Jun, trust the clan leader, trust the daimyo. We will win. However, everyone could see the worry in Kamaki's eyes. But right now, they had no other choice but to believe in Lord Jun's plan. How's your progress with the multiple shadow clone technique? And the mutual multiplication explosive tags? The captains exchanged glances, realizing they couldn't let morale stay this low. If their spirits were down before the battle even began, how could they fight? For now, they had to shift their focus. Following Lord Jun's instructions, the captains had copied the jutsu scrolls first, then distributed them to their teams to save time. By now, everyone had finished copying them on the way here. Focus on the mutual multiplication explosive tags first, the captains said. Use the shadow clone technique in the early stages. Understood, the team members replied. Now, go place the explosive tags in your assigned positions. Make sure they're hidden well, bury them in the ground, hide them in trees, or even under rocks. Just keep them concealed. Also, don't hide the explosive tags in the middle too well. Let Kirigakure find them, but don't make it too easy. Use these tags to draw their attention. Understood. According to the spy's report 7 days ago, Kirigakure has already begun preparing their fleet. They'll likely set off within 2 days, the clan leader said to Uzumaki Jun, who was holding a strange bamboo tube-like object and examining it curiously. Jun, what is that thing in your hand? Oh, this. Uzumaki Jun lowered the object and handed it to the clan leader. It's a telescope. Since it wasn't yet the era of Kanaha year 60, telescopes and TVs probably didn't exist yet. 7 days ago. That meant Kirigakure had already been on the move for 5 days. The journey from Kirigakure to the land of whirlpools took about 10 days, so they likely had 5 days left. Uzumaki Jun pondered. To avoid detection by Kirigakure's sensors, they had chosen a high vantage point and used the telescope to observe. He had brought millions of explosive tags with him. There was no way that wouldn't take out a few ships. The real challenge was placing the tags where Kirigakure wouldn't notice. Would underwater explosive tags work? But the thought of fighting Kirigakure in their own element made Jun uneasy. The Uzumaki clan had no real water-based techniques, they relied on brute force, chakra, and sheer vitality. But right now, they were outnumbered and outmatched. Trying to beat Kirigakure in their own domain was nearly impossible. Underwater explosive tags probably wouldn't work. If only they had Deodara's clay bombs. Jun sighed and pulled out his gasoline bottles. Thankfully, technology in this world was advanced enough for these to exist. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to refine gasoline. As for why he hadn't made traditional explosives, well, explosive tags already existed in the ninja world. Gunpowder-based explosives were cumbersome, expensive, and impractical compared to explosive tags. As for oil, the land of whirlpools had a small oil field, which Jun had accidentally discovered. In this world, oil was considered demon's blood because nothing grew near oil fields. That area of the country was practically deserted. The real problem was refining it. The tools were crude, and Jun's knowledge was limited. He couldn't yet create anything truly useful from oil. And what are these? The clan leader, who had been testing the telescope, noticed Jun pulling out bottles and placing them on the ground. Gasoline bottles, Jun replied. Once lit, water can't put them out. In fact, it'll make the flames spread. He refused to believe that science and the full might of a nation couldn't defeat Kirigakure. He had also secretly given some gasoline bottles to the guards heading to battle. If Kirigakure gathered in one place to set up camp, they'd toss the bottles. If Kirigakure couldn't extinguish the flames, they wouldn't dare stay. The only problem was the limited supply. If they had more, they could sneak a ship into Kirigakure, douse the entire village in gasoline, and see if the Mizukage still dared to invade. Is that true? The clan leader and elders stared at the bottles in shock. Then it's like Amaterasu? The elder asked. The legendary black flames. Not the same, Jun said dismissively. Amaterasu could burn anything except people, ironically. Gasoline could burn anything too, and it was especially effective against Kirigakure since water couldn't extinguish it. Against Tsunagakure, it might be less effective. The real issue was the low production. He had only made these with a few guards in secret. If other villages found out, the land of whirlpools would be doomed. This was a weapon of war, after all. He hadn't dared reveal it earlier because the Uzumaki clan had once been close allies with Kanaha, though mostly one-sided. The Uzumaki were too naive. Right, the elder nodded. Amaterasu was a mythical flame. These little bottles couldn't compare. We'll use them to burn Kirigakure's ships, Jun said. If not for the risk of detection, he would have prepared millions of arrows tied with explosive tags for a literal rain of explosions. Why not use shuriken? Shuriken were too expensive. Arrows were cheaper, wood was plentiful here. They didn't need to be precise since they were just delivery systems for explosive tags. He had already prepared the arrows, distributing them to the ninja teams. Between the explosive tag traps and the explosive arrow rain, he refused to believe Kirigakure could escape unscathed. Let them learn, invading the land of whirlpools wasn't worth it. The country was poor, all its money had gone into explosive tags. Even if they conquered it, they'd get nothing. The later land of waves, weak and impoverished, probably had ties to Kirigakure. After all, it was built on the ruins of the land of whirlpools. Jun suspected Kirigakure had planned to use it to threaten the land of fire, given its proximity. But when Kirigakure isolated itself and weakened, they abandoned the plan, fearing Kanaha's retaliation. Will it really work? The clan leader and elders still looked doubtful. Could these little bottles truly be unquenchable by water? If not, they'd be exposed. Chapter 9, This crafty old man is up to no good, 2-in-1. You know, if they were exposed, they definitely couldn't win against hundreds of enemies. As the heir to this nation, he hadn't even had the chance to exploit the people, and his gun hadn't even been drawn. If he died like this, it would be truly pitiful. When the time comes, the clan leader and elders just need to use explosive tags, blasting them in large swathes. Then, scatter some more explosive tags around to divert their attention, Uzumaki Jun explained. I estimate there won't be many ninjas guarding the ships, and they probably won't stay for long. After all, they were one of the 5 great shinobi villages. To crush a small, weak nation like theirs, they'd never expect the ninjas of Uzumaki to charge out roaring and break their defenses. Even less would they believe that someone was hiding in the grass, waiting to ambush them. And this was their advantage. As long as Uzumaki acted carefully and cautiously, without foolishly shouting for glory and rushing in to die, they might have a chance at victory. Uzumaki Jun sighed. If they won this time, it would truly be a victory built on money. If he hadn't known how to produce sea salt and secretly sold some, they wouldn't have been able to gather so much money. After all, in ancient times, salt was extremely valuable. But Uzumaki Jun didn't dare sell too much. If others discovered that Uzumaki had large quantities of salt, it wouldn't just be Kirigakure attacking, it would be all 5 great shinobi villages joining forces. Don't doubt it, profit moves people. Why did ninjas carry out missions? For profit. Why did shinobi wars happen? Again, for profit. As for Kanaha, they probably wouldn't act openly. Instead, they'd talk about generations of friendship and mutual exchange. Then, the foolish higher ups of the Uzumaki clan would be moved and hand over their techniques to Kanaha. Or, after Uzumaki was destroyed, Kanaha would condemn the 5 great shinobi villages and, as Uzumaki ally, take over its legacy. Thinking of this, Uzumaki Jun felt furious. There was a phrase in his heart, should he say it or not? Sooner or later, he'd deal with them. When Hashirama sold the tailed beasts, why didn't the 5 great shinobi villages say anything? As for the smaller villages, why didn't they approach Uzumaki but instead went to Takigakure? Was it because the Uzumaki clan wasn't small enough or didn't have money? Uzumaki Jun had another phrase in his heart, should he say it or not? He guessed that, on one hand, Hashirama considered them good brothers. With Kanaha's protection, Uzushiagakuer didn't need a tailed beast. After all, if they gave one to Uzushiagakuer, wouldn't it just be Kanaha's? Damn it, it seemed people had long considered Uzushiagakuer as part of Kanaha. On the other hand, Uzumaki Jun suspected Tobirama's underhanded schemes. The Uzumaki clan had massive chakra reserves and vitality capable of suppressing tailed beasts. If Uzushiagakuer had a Jinchuriki, wouldn't that mean they'd have a Mizukage? What would that make him, the older brother? If his elder brother were alive, he wouldn't dare act out of respect for his sister-in-law. But if his brother wasn't around, who would care about you? Don't doubt it, this was the same man who dared to scheme against the Uchiha, Hashirama's close allies and fellow clan founders. If he hadn't conducted experiments on Uchiha clansmen, how would he have known that activating the Sharingan would release a sinister chakra in their minds? Did the Uchiha tell him? Or did the Uchiha willingly offer their clansmen for experimentation? Don't joke around. So, to ensure only Kanaha could have Jinchuriki, while other villages couldn't, he would definitely scheme. This was also why, in the early stages, other villages lacked sufficient knowledge of sealing techniques and hadn't received help from the Uzumaki clan. Thus, at that time, only Mito Uzumaki was a Jinchuriki. To obtain Jinchuriki, other villages would inevitably come to Uzushiagakuer. If they could trade, fine. If not, had. The significant progress in sealing techniques in later years was probably related to Uzushiagakuer's destruction. Uzumaki Jun strongly suspected that this was also why Kanaha schemed and stood by without helping. They probably thought that one Uzumaki was enough, just enough to serve as a Jinchuriki, and it had to be Kanaha's Uzumaki. As for the rest, to prevent other villages from getting them, Uzushiagakuer might as well be destroyed. Moreover, Kirigakuer had imported two-tailed beasts from Kanaha. Were they just going to leave them lying around as decorations? So even if they didn't have Jinchuriki now, to obtain sealing techniques and Uzumaki clansmen, they would definitely attack. After all, it wasn't their territory. If things went south, they could just destroy it and release the nuclear weapons, tailed beasts. What could Uzushiagakuer do then? Damn it, they didn't even have a cage-level fighter now. If it came to that, they'd have to rely on the elders using the dead demon-consuming seal. This was a technique that, once activated, was nearly impossible to counter. Hadn't the third Hokage later used the dead demon-consuming seal too? If the fourth learned it from Kushina, then who taught the third? No need to say, he must have stolen it. This crafty old man was up to no good. He probably waited silently for Kushina and the fourth to die before appearing to selflessly raise the naive Naruto. What a schemer! To release the dead demon-consuming seal, one first had to obtain the Shinigami's mask. Right now, the mask was still in the Uzumaki clan's shrine, not yet taken by Kanaha. See? This was a classic case of killing you, seizing your wife, and taking your family's assets. But sealing a tailed beast was no easy task. Aside from Mito, the Uzumaki clan currently had no cage-level fighters. If a mere Jainin could seal a tailed beast, why did they need Minato back then? Just have a group of Jainin learn the dead demon-consuming seal and charge into battle roaring, using it on enemies. One Jainin for one cage-level enemy or tailed beast, what a bargain! Uzumaki Jun shook his head. It seemed he really had to prepare defenses against the tailed beasts. Otherwise, if Kirigakuer released their two-tailed beasts to wreak havoc, wouldn't they be finished? What were tailed beasts? They were chakra entities. Even if they threw gasoline bombs, the beasts would just roll around, lose a layer of skin, and be fine. If all else failed, they'd have to throw lives at the problem. Otherwise, if they let their guard down and Uzushiagakuer was destroyed, he'd have to flee for his life, avoiding not just other villages but also Kanaha, because one Jinchuriki was enough. And without much confidence, Uzumaki Jun didn't want to confront Kanaha. After all, they had a bunch of cheaters. Not worth it, not worth it. Just pour this gasoline on Kirigakuer's ships, Uzumaki Jun said to the clan leader and elders. Then use fire-style jutsu. The ships of this era were still wooden. The gasoline fire should burn them, right? If it didn't work, they'd have to throw lives at the problem. No matter what, these ships had to be destroyed here. What should we prepare these next few days? The clan leader asked, nodding. Just wait here. No, first, set up some bait for them, Uzumaki Jun said after thinking. After all, there were still 100 million explosive tags waiting for them ahead. They couldn't let them escape. And why had they told the citizens to hide? To create the illusion that Uzumaki people were fleeing. So, they needed to scatter clothes and luggage in the water. They also had to leave random items along the roads to create the scene of a nation in flight. This was a huge task. After all, an entire country fleeing couldn't just be represented by a few scattered items. They had to use these things to lure Kirigakuru's forces into the explosive trap. In that case, let's act now, the clan leader said. Kirigakuru's vanguard will probably set out soon. We need to move quickly. Captain, we're about to enter Uzumaki waters, a ninja with Kirigakuru's forward protector said, standing at the bow and complaining to the captain. The war's almost over. Why start another one? Shut up, Teo, the captain said coldly, glancing at him. As shinobi, we just follow orders. Got it, Teo said dismissively, waving his hand. It's not like anyone else is listening anyway. Enough, Teo, another teammate said helplessly. We're just the vanguard. Our job is to scout a safe location for the main force to set up camp and gather intel on Uzumaki current situation. But this is still war, Teo muttered. I've had enough. I hate war. With the war nearing its end and Kanaha's victory all but certain, the second Mizukage hasn't achieved much. There's already discontent in Kirigaku, another teammate, pushing up his glasses, said to Teo. So, to quell the unrest, the Mizukage launched this invasion of Uzumaki. On one hand, Uzumaki is weakened from aiding Kanaha in the war. On the other, its proximity to the Land of Fire makes it a strategic foothold to monitor Kanaha. And to prepare for the next war, he added silently. Abisu, it's so pointless, Teo said, shaking his head gloomily. I just hate war. War is too terrible. Jupi's parents died in the war. Enema, Kai's they're all gone. Teo's eyes welled up with tears as he shouted, so why start another war? It was all about to end, to end. Don't you get it? Hearing Teo's words, the entire team fell silent. The captain sighed and said calmly, this is the life of a shinobi, Teo. Do you understand? That's right. No one liked war, but shinobi had no choice. I don't understand. I hate war, Teo roared at the captain. How can you all just calmly start another war? Why? Shut up, Teo, the captain snapped, seeing Teo losing control in his anger. Shinobi follow orders. There's no why. Teo calmed down, especially at the captain's cold, furious tone. He knew that during war, no words undermining morale were allowed, especially on this ship with other teammates. His words had already dampened their spirits. If this continued, the captain would definitely kill him. I don't understand. I don't understand anything, Teo muttered, tears dripping onto the deck. Why did there have to be war? Chapter 10, You are surrounded. I see them, the clan leader said, holding a telescope. 3 ships, about 100 people. It's Kirigaku's vanguard. Do we take them out? The elder asked Uzumaki Jun. Right now, they were following his plans. If they attacked, with only 5 of them, it'd be troublesome. Uzumaki Jun thought for a moment. 5 against 100, that was tricky. They couldn't afford a direct fight. And this 100 was just the scouts. If they were hurt, Kirigaku's main force would become wary. But if they didn't eliminate them, letting them roam Uzumaki might expose their preparations. What to do? Second elder, inform the others. Have a large group of ninjas wait near the explosive trap, not too far, to surround them. Make it look like Uzumaki is fighting desperately, Uzumaki Jun said. Have many people, but not too strong. Show weakness. Don't kill too many, let some escape. They'd have to wait on the outskirts, then greet the main force with Uzumaki fireworks. The clan leader frowned but didn't question it. This wasn't the time for doubts. The war had started, and no one could challenge the commander's decisions now. The ships of Kirigaku officially reached the shores of Uzumaki. Led by their respective squad leaders, the ninja teams cautiously stepped onto Uzumaki's territory. It seems the citizens of Uzumaki have already begun evacuating. Abisu adjusted his glasses and crouched down, picking up scattered luggage left haphazardly on the beach. The question is how many people remain in the country now? Evacuating. The squad leader sneered. Surviving won't be that easy, especially. His voice trailed off, and he glanced at Teu, who was in low spirits. Raising his voice sharply, he barked, "Teu! This is wartime. Daydreaming during a war? If the ANBU found out, he'd be dragged in for questioning. Worse, this kind of negativity was contagious, someone would inevitably be scapegoated, and she couldn't afford to bear that blame. Neither could her squad leader." Yet Teu replied half-heartedly. "The Kirinin have landed," the clan leader said, lowering his binoculars. "Are we really not going to engage them now?" "Not yet," Uzumaki Jun shook his head. "We need them to witness the determination of Uzushiagakure's ninja to fight to the death. Only then will Kirigakure commit their main forces." He smirked coldly as he watched the Kirinin below. "That's when we'll have a chance to take down most of them. How dare they invade a transmigrator's country? If they succeeded, how could he inherit the nation, marry a wealthy beauty, reach the pinnacle of life, or exploit his citizens? After all, his golden finger the system hadn't even activated yet." As for evacuation, Jun had considered it but dismissed the idea. In the Naruto world, only a handful of Uzumaki survivors had escaped, and their lives were miserable. Just look at Kyoko and her mother, had they even been treated as humans? And Kyoko's father? The more he thought about it, the more unsettling it became. There was no way this didn't involve some hidden scheme. No matter how you looked at it, the Uzumaki clan was a major bloodline, and Uzushiagakure was still a nation. Yet, almost everyone had died, with barely any survivors. Most likely, ninja from other villages were lurking around, waiting to capture fleeing Uzumaki members for use as Jinchuriki, only to be eliminated by Kanaha later. After all, only one Jinchuriki was needed, the Nine-Tails vessel. And let's not forget Uchiha Madara, a 50-something-year-old man with his Sharingan, lurking in the shadows, watching for someone worthy of inheriting his Rinnegan. "Can we really succeed?" the clan leader asked quietly. "Shut up!" the elder snapped, then sighed and looked at Jun. "If the worst happens, just abandon Uzushiagakure. Leave. Go to Kanaha. Don't think about revenge, just survive and keep the Uzumaki bloodline alive." Though Jun wasn't sure if they could win, he still forced a smile. "We will definitely succeed. As for fleeing to Kanaha? No way. He'd probably die on the way." "Ha, exactly." The third elder laughed heartily, seeing Jun's calm demeanor even now. "Screw Kirigakure. That's right. We'll definitely win. It's just Kirigakure. The Uzumaki clan has lasted 1,000 years, we've faced worse. After this, we'll slap Kanaha in the face and settle the score." "Ha!" the elder chuckled, watching the others rally under Jun's confidence. "I was wrong. The Uzumaki clan will rise to greatness." The Uzumaki had never feared any challenge. No one noticed Jun's fists clenched tightly inside his sleeves, his gaze icy as he stared toward the neighboring nation, the Land of Fire. "Kanaha hat! Alert!" the Kiri squad leader suddenly shouted, sensing something amiss in the forest ahead. Immediately, the Kirinin raised their kunao, forming a defensive perimeter. The only sound was the rustling of leaves in the wind. Something was wrong. It was too quiet. "Uzushiagakure ninja, show yourselves!" the Kiri squad leader barked into the forest. Whoosh! In an instant, ninja wearing Uzushiagakure forward protectors emerged from the trees and bushes. The Kirinin tensed as more and more enemy ninja surrounded them. Their hearts pounded, they were trapped. "Kirigakure, you are not welcome here. Leave!" One Uzushiagakure ninja stood atop a tree, glaring down. "The Uzumaki clan is a peaceful people. We do not seek war. Damn it! If not for Lord Jun's orders, they would have attacked already instead of wasting words." "We're just here to observe, not to wage war," the Kiri squad leader replied dismissively. "Peaceful? Then who were those Uzumaki with massive chakra reserves, formidable sealing techniques, and incredible vitality on the Kanaha battlefield?" The Uzushiagakure ninja nearly cursed out loud. Observe? Did they think the Uzumaki were fools? They had tempers, but they weren't stupid. A fully armed invasion force coming to observe? Who'd believe that? Leave. Now, the Uzushiagakure ninja growled. Seeing their patience wearing thin, the Kiri squad leader roared, "Attack! Breakthrough!" Chapter 11, The Sorrow of a Small Nation. Everyone in the shinobi world knew the Uzumaki clan was like this, quick to lose patience and resort to violence after just a few words. Perhaps it was due to their unique constitution. With vast chakra reserves but lacking fine control, it inevitably affected their temperament. Just look at the tailed beasts, they were the same. All their points went into chakra, leaving none for intelligence, yet they still wore that Sundara expression. But when someone tried to talk to them about life, they'd cover their ears and shake their heads, saying, "I won't listen, I won't listen." Then, a tailed beast ball would send you straight to the Shinigami. Even Naruto, before mastering his talk no jutsu, would just charge in with a roar. And when he did master it, still roaring and charging. Attack! The Uzumaki shinobi shouted. Orders from above were clear: injure but don't kill, and make sure the enemy accidentally escapes. The tricky part was making it believable. They couldn't send too many or too few, and they had to act weak, like a whole group of them couldn't even handle a few missed shinobi. What a headache! They had to stage a fake battle. This wasn't the Uzumaki way. They feared no hardship. Damn it, I hate war, Teitu muttered, clumsily blocking the incoming Uzumaki shinobi. Why did the second Mizukage even start this? Shut up, the captain barked. Now wasn't the time for demoralizing talk. Did Teitu want a trip to the ANBU interrogation room or a cold bath from the Mizukage? Luckily, the Uzumaki fighters weren't that strong. Thanks to Kanaha's scheming, most of the powerful Uzumaki had been left on the battlefield, never to return. It was hard to believe such a hypocritical village like Kanaha still had such loyal allies. But now? They'd be wiped out soon. The Uzumaki shinobi exchanged subtle glances, signaling each other not to go overboard. Some of them got too fired up in fights and went all out. But no, this was just a skirmish. Kill one or two, then let the rest escape, as per Prince Jun's orders. They unleashed flashy jutsu, but none used sealing techniques. Every attack looked deadly but conveniently missed. Keisuke! Teitu cried out as his teammate lost an arm to an Uzumaki's wind release and got surrounded. Break through, Teitu! The captain ordered. Keisuke was done for. Seeing Teitu hesitate, he snapped, "Get out of here! Don't let Keisuke's sacrifice be in vain." But... Teitu's eyes welled with tears. Move! The captain barked. If we don't break through now, we're all dead. Teitu took one last look at Keisuke, wiped his tears, and turned away, gripping his kunai tightly as he followed the captain. I really hate war, he thought. Report from the rear, 2 missed shinobi dead, the rest retreated, the second elder reported to Uzumaki Jun and the clan head. What are your next orders? Any casualties on our side? Jun asked. Their numbers were already thin. They couldn't afford heavy losses. None. We outnumbered them and mostly used shadow clones, as you instructed. About 50 injured, though. Jun sighed in relief. Injuries were fine, Uzumaki resilience would keep them alive. After a moment, he said, tell them to stay hidden. Block the missed shinobi's advance, but make it look like we've set up camp there. And have them master the multiple shadow clone jutsu and the mutual exploding tags. Jun watched the fleeing missed shinobi below and murmured, war has come. From now on, rely on shadow clones. Stick to the plan, prioritize survival over kills. We'll drag this out until the mist breaks. He refused to believe Kirigakure had infinite supplies. Even with soldier pills, they couldn't last forever. Understood. The second elder left to relay the orders. Jun gazed toward Kirigakure's direction, lost in thought. The mist village was far from Uzumaki, but their main force would arrive soon. Could their small nation hold out until the war's end? We're still too weak, Jun muttered. The plight of a small nation, few people, little land. To prevent Kirigakure from encircling them or other villages taking advantage, Jun had already ordered the evacuation of non-essential areas. Uzumaki shinobi were scattered across the country, using terrain to their advantage. As for exploding tags, shadow clones would do. Human bombs, supplemented by explosive tagged arrow barrages. The rest of the clones? Just charge in roaring. Perfect for their temperament. Wear the enemy down with numbers, multiple shadow clones had a way of making the enemy doubt their own intelligence. Even if the clones were weak, their sheer presence was intimidating. Just standing there cheering would boost morale, let alone an army of identical faces screaming as they rushed forward. The psychological impact alone was terrifying. Jun watched the surviving mist shinobi cautiously scouting their surroundings and sighed. You get to live, for now. Why? Why? Taya grabbed the captain's collar, tears streaming. Why did we abandon Keisuke? The captain coldly shoved him away. Because this is war. Taya's voice cracked. Keisuke was our comrade. Shut up. The captain, already irritated from losing men in the ambush, glared. The squad's mood was tense enough without Taya's outburst. He seized Taya's throat, his voice icy. One more word, and I'll kill you. Taya choked, clawing at the captain's grip, his vision blurring. Abisu stepped in. Captain, stop. He'll die. The captain tossed Taya aside with a snarl and walked off to set up patrols. Gasping for air, Taya stared at the captain's retreating back. That last threat, one more word, and I'll kill you, was no joke. The killing intent had been real. War is disgusting, Taya whispered. Abisu patted his back, concerned. You okay? Taya didn't answer. Sighing, Abisu said, don't blame the captain. He had no choice. This is war. Taya looked up, silent, then stood. That's why I hate it. Why start a war? When everything was almost over. It's just disgusting. How much longer? Chapter 12, after so many filler chapters, the Mizukage finally appears. How much longer until we arrive? The man wearing a high-collared trench coat, tied at the waist with a black silk ribbon, a green autumn shirt inside, with black eyes and blank space above them where eyebrows should be, sporting a small mustache, arms crossed over his chest, asked with a faint smile. Lord Second Mizukage, the ninja behind him replied respectfully, we should arrive around noon tomorrow. Hoseki Gengetsu nodded upon hearing this. He looked in the direction of the land of whirlpools and sneered coldly under his breath, the friendship of Kanaha? Jinchuriki. They were practically killed by their own allies. These idiots, the Uzumaki clan should wake up by now. But it was already too late. Jinchuriki, sealing techniques. What truly tempting things. Sarutobi Hiruzen, Kanaha is truly full of hypocrites. All units, prepare to rest. At noon tomorrow, we will officially declare war on the land of whirlpools. Hoseki Gengetsu shouted loudly to the surrounding ninjas. A village without tailed beasts posed little threat to Kirigakure. They had to complete the invasion of the land of whirlpools and annihilate the Uzumaki clan before the war ended. He glanced at the Mizukage's assistant beside him and asked indifferently, are the tailed beasts properly sealed? They are ready, the Mizukage's assistant replied. The sealing team has been monitoring them closely. There won't be any issues. Hearing this, Hoseki Gengetsu nodded with a cold smile. Good. The ones who will destroy the land of whirlpools Kirigakure. They're here. The clan leader put down the telescope in his hand, clenched his left fist tightly, and said with a serious expression, Kirigakure has arrived. He sighed inwardly. The war had finally begun, and their ally, Kanaha, still had not sent reinforcements. He couldn't help but lament. As expected, in the face of interests and war, all relationships are fragile. He wondered what Lord Hashirama would think if he knew about this. Perhaps he would only apologize shamefully to the Uzumaki clan but still not interfere with Kanaha's affairs. Then, he would risk his life to protect the friendship with the Uzumaki clan. After all, Lord Hashirama was also an idiot. Are they here? Uzumaki Jun and the elder turned around quickly upon hearing the clan leader's words and asked, have they arrived? The clan leader nodded. A massive fleet. The decks are filled with densely packed ninjas. They will probably begin landing soon. Inform the ninjas in the rear, Uzumaki Jun said after a moment of thought. Only by eliminating a large portion of the Kirigakure forces early on will we have a chance of victory later. A village that was beaten so badly on the front lines that they cried for help probably didn't leave Hoseki Gengetsu in a good position within Kirigakure either. Launching a war without achievements and being beaten until they cried for help, he must have decided to launch a sneak attack from the rear, intending to use the prestige of destroying a nation to silence the discordant voices in Kirigakure. But he never expected that even if he succeeded, he would still end up perishing alongside the Tsuchikage. This time, he probably wasn't feeling too good either. Because there was a transmigrator here. The land of whirlpools wasn't so easy to destroy, especially when they were prepared. Trying to achieve the feat of destroying a nation would cost them dearly. If this invasion failed, Hoseki Gengetsu would truly perish alongside the Tsuchikage, because he was a cage. Uzumaki Jun looked at the elder and the clan leader and said, "For now, stay hidden. Use the telescope to observe Kirigakuru's movements, but only focus on their chunin or genin." After all, the perception abilities of strong individuals were extremely sharp. Especially since most of the invading ninjas from Kirigakure had been active on the front lines. If it weren't for the fact that the war was nearing its end, Kirigakure wouldn't have been able to allocate so many ninjas for this invasion. Although the telescope wasn't a sensing technique and they might not necessarily detect it, who knew if some of them had beast-like instincts? They might sense it just by being stared at. Once the Mizukage leads the main force into the forest, we will act, Uzumaki Jun said seriously. Also, remember to harass them when they rest, denying them any chance to recuperate. Guerrilla warfare meant disturbing them when they rested and resting when they were active. The clan leader and the elders all nodded solemnly. War was no joke. Lord Mizukage. The vanguard commander saw that Kirigakure's main force had finally landed, especially the Mizukage at the forefront, and quickly stepped forward to greet him respectfully. Horiguchi take. The Mizukage looked at the vanguard commander and asked warmly, "How is the situation?" Horiguchi take, an elite jonin of Kirigakure, a genius among civilians, and the vanguard commander. Horiguchi take thought for a moment and said, "The Uzumaki clan seems prepared for war. They've set up defenses at the forest boundary to block our invasion. There are so many of them that we couldn't gather much intel. Also, while there are many ninjas remaining in the land of whirlpools, they don't seem very strong." A dense crowd, though most were shadow clones, still represented a considerable number of ninjas. Their strength was just too weak. A light touch and they would burst like punctured balloons. Pop and they were gone. Horiguchi take didn't know that most of those ninjas were shadow clones combined with transformation techniques. After all, to mobilize the entire nation's strength, they needed numbers to intimidate the enemy. Strong? The strong ones were all killed by Kanaha's schemes. The Mizukage chuckled dismissively. What good brothers Kanaha has! Horiguchi take fell silent upon hearing the Mizukage's words. He wasn't sure if he should mention this, but their small group had been camping here, and the Uzumaki clan hadn't launched any attacks. Did they truly not want war? Were they waiting for the Mizukage to arrive and negotiate peace? That was why they weren't killing anyone? Oh, wait, they had killed people, 3 of them. During another reconnaissance mission, another person went missing. But as long as they didn't move around recklessly, the Uzumaki ninjas left them alone. What were they planning? Mobilizing the entire nation's strength. The Mizukage stroked his chin playfully. After losing so many jonin on Kanaha's battlefield, how many jonin can the land of whirlpools still muster? Hoseki Gengetsu waved his hand and shouted loudly, "Advance immediately!" They were too weak, so weak that he couldn't even muster any enthusiasm. A village without a cage-level ninja, what could Uzumaki possibly use to stop them? It was better to end the war quickly and silence the unnecessary voices in the village. Yes. The ninjas behind the Mizukage responded loudly. Lord Mizukage, shouldn't we formulate a plan? The Mizukage's assistant asked. If we fall into Uzumaki trap, it would be disastrous. No matter. Under absolute strength, all schemes are useless. Hoseki Gengetsu rubbed his eyebrow less forward and said casually, most of Uzumaki jonin died on the battlefield. The remaining weaklings, had. Moreover, only by acting swiftly could Kirigakure gain more benefits. Many were eyeing this piece of fat meat in the shadows. The land of whirlpools cannot stop us now. Hoseki Gengetsu waved his hand, signaling the Kirigakure ninjas to advance. Especially with so many villages watching closely. Kanaha trying to use Kirigakure won't be so easy. But no matter what, Uzumaki is still a shinobi village. The Mizukage's assistant still seemed worried. And the Uzumaki clan has been a powerful clan since ancient times. Powerful they may be. Hoseki Gengetsu said. With their vast chakra reserves, vitality, and formidable sealing techniques, they are indeed intimidating. But without cage-level fighters or tailed beasts, they are ultimately just a weak village. And the Uzumaki clan is full of hotheads. We just need to provoke them. Hearing the Mizukage's resolute tone, the assistant could only shake his head helplessly. The orders had already been given, and the Kirigakure ninjas were on the move. Besides, everything the Mizukage said was true. Although the Uzumaki clan was powerful, they were ultimately just one clan. Even if they called themselves Uzushiagakure or the Land of Whirlpools, it couldn't hide the fact that they were few in number. Combined with the heavy losses on the front lines, Uzushiagakure was probably struggling now. And Kirigakure? One of the 5 great shinobi villages. A village against one clan, even if the Uzumaki clan hadn't aided Kanaha, they could still win. It would just be more troublesome. But now? They could only blame themselves for being fools. Heaven was fair. It gave the Uzumaki clan vast chakra and vitality but also gave them hot tempers. They were practically idiots. Attention, Kirigakure has officially entered the forest. A Uzushiagakure ninja said solemnly to the surrounding ninjas. Remember Lord Jun's orders. If you can't win, retreat. Don't throw your lives away. Lord Jun had emphasized this many times. He also understood the Uzumaki clan's situation, never resorting to schemes, just brute force, using chakra and lives to overpower the enemy. But now, the circumstances were different. Their numbers were few, and their strong fighters were scarce. If anything went wrong, it would truly mean the annihilation of their clan and nation. So, they couldn't afford to be reckless. If they acted recklessly now, the Land of Whirlpools would go bankrupt, and the big bullies behind them would seize their assets. The surrounding ninjas all nodded solemnly. They knew this wasn't the time for jokes. They had to control their chakra and their tempers. They couldn't let themselves be provoked into recklessly charging forward, howling and fighting to the death. They're here. The Uzushiagakure commander raised his hand, signaling them to stay calm, and said, remember to use shadow clones and transformation techniques to create the illusion of an all-out battle. Halt! The Mizukage surveyed the surroundings and seemed to notice something amiss. Frowning, he asked Horiguchi Take, is this the place? That's right. Horiguchi Take nodded seriously. Ahead is where the Uzumaki clan has set up camp. Before he could finish. Swish, swish. Suddenly, a dense crowd of Uzushiagakure ninjas appeared, forming a human wall in front of the Kirigakure forces, as if blocking their path. Leave this place, Kirigakure. Uzumaki Kai, the temporary commander of the Uzumaki guerrilla squad, stepped forward with a stern expression. Seeing the trench-coated, eyebrowless man at the forefront of the Kirigakure forces, his eyebrows twitched. Damn it, was this the Mizukage? This was a cage-level fighter. The Land of Whirlpools had no cage-level ninjas apart from Lady Mito, and now Lady Mito was too old to aid the Land of Whirlpools. With so few Uzushiagakure Jonin left, most of them dead, the Mizukage could probably crush the Land of Whirlpools with ease. But Uzumaki Kai still steeled himself and said firmly, without backing down, you are not welcome here. Seeing the dense crowd of Uzushiagakure ninjas, Hojiki Gengetsu narrowed his eyes. Did the Land of Whirlpools have this many ninjas? But as he sensed the chakra of the surrounding Uzushiagakure ninjas, they were indeed real, not clones. Still, he felt no tension. They were too weak, pathetically weak. Most of them were cannon fodder genin, only capable of causing minor trouble. They posed no real threat to Kirigakure's main force. Uzumaki clan, lay down your weapons and surrender unconditionally. Join Kirigakure. Hojiki Gengetsu sneered. I will spare your lives. They were so weak that it was hardly worth the effort. Hojiki Gengetsu estimated that he wouldn't even need to intervene as a high-ranking village leader. Chapter 13, after so many chapters of filler, the war finally began. The Land of Whirlpools would be destroyed without a fight. Though he had long known that these despicable invaders wouldn't be driven away by mere words, hearing the Mizukage's disdainful tone still infuriated the Uzumaki clan. Join Kirigakure? Ha! Everyone knew the hidden implications. They would probably kill all the adults and elders, leaving only a few children for reproduction. The newborns would then be brainwashed, because no one would trust them otherwise. Damn it, he was about to roll up his sleeves and fight without a second thought, to show them the pride of the millennia-old Uzumaki clan, when a calm Uzumaki clansman beside him stopped him. Brother, don't be impulsive. We can't afford the losses. We must follow the commander's plan. Uzumaki Kai secretly wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. How cunning this Mizukage was! As a clan with a history spanning millennia, how could they surrender so easily? This was an insult to the Uzumaki clan. Fighting to the death was their ancient creed. He had almost lost control. No wonder Lord Jun had reminded them so many times. Despicable invaders, Leave this place! Uzumaki Kai shouted loudly at the unmoving Kirigakure ninjas. Though he knew it was futile, he still followed Lord Jun's plan. The Uzumaki clan had to put on a show of fighting to the death. Ha ha ha! Hoseki Gengetsu laughed scornfully. The weak have no right to negotiate with Kirigakure. Surrender, Uzumaki clan! If they truly surrendered, it would be convenient. Kill the stubborn old fools, and the innocent children left behind could be raised as a new clan for Kirigakure. Moreover, they would be the Uzumaki clan, with vast chakra and vitality, perfect as Jinchuriki. Kirigakure had just imported 2 precious-tailed beasts from Kanaha and hadn't found suitable hosts yet. This would also deal a heavy blow to Kanaha. What would they do when it was time to relocate the 9 tails? The Uzumaki clan would belong to Kirigakure. However, Hoseki Gengetsu knew this was impossible. A clan that had survived for millennia wouldn't surrender so easily. It has begun. Uzumaki Jun looked at the distant forest where explosions kept ringing out, along with dazzling chakra. He knew that the Uzumaki clan and Kirigakure had now clashed. At the same time, he glanced at the landing point of Kirigakure's forces. What a massive fleet! As expected of a maritime powerhouse. He wondered if their 10 people could dismantle all of Kirigakure's ships. This move was crucial. If they could inflict severe damage on Kirigakure's fleet, their chances of victory would greatly increase. After this, he didn't believe the high-ranking officials and clans of Kirigakure would be willing to fund the Mizukage to rebuild the fleet. As long as they saw that invading Uzumaki would bring no profit and only heavy losses, even Hoseki Genjutsu's position as Mizukage would become unstable. And a cold smile appeared on Uzumaki Jun's face. He wondered how the Kirigakure ninja would react when they realized that no matter which Uzumaki ninja they killed, they would only hear a pop as they turned into mist. In the end, all these seemingly different Uzumaki ninja were actually just shadow clones. Would their faces turn green? There are about 100 Kirigakure ninja guarding the fleet, the clan leader said, holding a telescope. Should we act now? If they struck now, the main force would already be distracted by the rear. They would only need to deal with 100 enemies. Their main goal wasn't to kill the Kirigakure ninja but to destroy the ships. If they were careful, it should be manageable. Uzumaki Jun thought for a moment, then shook his head. Not yet. The war had just begun, and the Kirigakure ninja in the rear were likely still on high alert. They needed to wait until their guard was down to maximize their gains. After all, destroying over 100 ships wasn't easy. Even if they couldn't destroy all of them, taking out 80% would make things difficult for Hoseki Gengetsu. Moreover, having 2 people draw enemy fire while the others threw oil bottles would be challenging. Underwater movement was out of the question. As for the sky, Uzumaki Jun thought for a moment, then took out something he had prepared. What is this now? The clan leader and the elder asked curiously, watching as Uzumaki Jun pulled out 2 large bamboo baskets from his ninja pouch. This. Uzumaki Jun sighed. This was a cheat item for transmigrators, though it was a bit crude. Making it had been troublesome, as finding airtight fabric in this era was difficult. Yes, this was a hot air balloon. Fortunately, very few could fly in this era. Apart from the flying fortress of Uzumaki, the third Tsuchikage's lightweight boulder technique, Konan's paper ninjutsu, Deodara's explosive art, and other special techniques, the ninja world was still mostly grounded. The ninja world was essentially a high-level martial arts world. Apart from chakra manipulation and ninjutsu, travel still relied on running, and communication was mostly shouting. Flying was extremely difficult, limited to jumping, double jumps, or triple jumps. Of course, this excluded beings like Kaguya and other extraterrestrial entities. This is called a hot air balloon. It seems the second Mizukage and the others have begun, a Kirigakure ninja said, leaning against the ship's bow and looking toward the direction where the troops had departed. Are we just going to wait here? We'll wait until the main force finds a place to set up camp and moves the supplies. Then we'll leave, another Kirigakure ninja said casually, smoking. We'll come back when the supplies run low. At this rate, we might not even need to return. With this much time, the Mizukage could have already crushed Uzumaki, a ninja lying on the deck said. The Uzumaki clan only has the elderly and the weak left now. Exactly. The Mizukage will wipe out the Uzumaki clan in no time. Without a cage-level fighter or a tailed beast, a village can't possibly. What the hell? Suddenly, the ninja at the bow shouted. Then. Boom. Roar! A blinding light shot into the sky, accompanied by an earth-shaking explosion that made the entire island of Uzumaki tremble. What's happening? Explosive tags! So many explosive tags! Is the Mizukage all right? Did they fall into a trap? Impossible! The Mizukage is too strong. What should we do now? Shut up! Follow the Mizukage's orders! The commander of the fleet guard shouted, silencing the panicked murmurs. Have faith in the Mizukage. It's just a bunch of weaklings. Right, right. With an explosion like that, the Uzumaki clan must be wiped out already. We're strong. We have the Mizukage leading us. And we have a tailed beast. So many elite ninja. However, as the Kirigakure ninja argued, the one lying on the deck suddenly noticed the sun being blocked. He muttered in confusion, "What is this?" No. The ninja on the deck sat up abruptly, staring at the strange object in the sky. What is that? 2 hours earlier. Pop. Another one. Pop. Again. What the hell is going on? The Kirigakure ninja growled impatiently. Why are they all shadow clones? Pop. Though they weren't strong, they were annoying. After so long, they hadn't killed a single real Uzumaki ninja. Were all of them just shadow clones? Hojiki Gengetsu frowned as another wave of shadow clones disappeared around him. What was going on? Why were they all clones? With a casual jutsu, he wiped out another group, but more kept coming. What were the Uzumaki planning? Pop. Another batch of shadow clones vanished. What's this? The Mizukage noticed something in the dirt-gray slips of paper. Explosive tags. Hojiki Gengetsu shouted in alarm. It's a trap. Retreat. Now. Seeing that the enemy had noticed, Uzumaki Kai knew it was time. He yelled, and all around, the voices of the Uzumaki clan echoed. Now. 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 Hand seals were formed. Mutually multiplying explosive tags. Mutually multiplying explosive tags. Mutually multiplying explosive tags. A scorching wave of fire erupted, followed by a deafening explosion. Boom! The entire land of Uzumaki seemed to shake. Chapter 14, The Power of Money, Beyond Your Imagination. The deafening sound of explosions rang out, kicking up massive clouds of dust that obscured a vast stretch of forest. Hojiki Gengetsu never expected that Uzumaki would prepare so many explosive tags. It was just an invasion war. Hadn't they experienced war before? Why weren't they following the usual script this time? Not only were they mobilizing the entire nation's strength, but they were also spending the entire nation's wealth. If they used up all their money, how would they pacify the people and rebuild the country after the war? Would the entire nation just eat dirt? If every war were fought like this, the country would have collapsed long ago. What were ninjas carrying out missions for? Wasn't it for money? If you had this much money, why not say so earlier? As long as there was money, everything could be negotiated. Just give the money to me. What were they starting a war for? Wasn't it for a profit? Did the Uzumaki clan really love this land so much? Even if they disagreed with his proposal, they could just leave Uzumaki and find another place to settle. With their entire clan moving, who could stop them? No matter what, the Uzumaki clan was a major clan. As long as they relocated, couldn't they just thrive elsewhere? Was it necessary to waste money like this? With money, wasn't anything negotiable? Little did he know, because of this invasion by Kirigakure, including the hidden mastermind behind it, the Uzumaki clan was nearly wiped out. But now, it seemed things really were about to end. Hojiki Genjutsu's face darkened as he watched the dust settle, revealing the devastated surroundings. If he proposed taking money to negotiate peace now, not only would he be criticized by the village elders and high-ranking officials, but he would also be condemned by the villagers. Even though most of the casualties so far were low-ranking cannon fodder, no matter how expendable they were, losing so many was unacceptable. Every low-ranking ninja had family. If they started protesting, his tenure as Mizukage would be over. Starting a war only to be beaten into submission, what kind of joke was that? If you can't win, just run. Who in their right mind would resort to mutual destruction? Kirigakure just wanted this territory to pressure the Land of Fire. Now, Hojiki Gengetsu strongly suspected that this might be a trap set by that old schemer Sarutobi Hiruzen. Maybe he had conspired with Uzumaki to inflict heavy losses on Kirigakure. Otherwise, how could these stubborn, reckless idiots suddenly start using tactics? This wasn't logical. How had they changed? Everyone in the shinobi world knew the Uzumaki clan were people who dumped all their stat points into chakra and none into intelligence. Hoseki Gengetsu surveyed the surroundings, a wasteland stretching several kilometers, now a massive crater. Medics, tend to the wounded. The rest of the ninjas, follow me. Damn it, now he really had to wipe out the Uzumaki clan. Otherwise, how could he face the villagers and the elders when he returned? The Uzumaki clan had backed him into a corner. Now, he truly had no choice but to kill every last Uzumaki clansman. Hoseki Genjutsu's expression turned ruthless as he waved his hand and roared, "Kill them all! Leave none alive!" Seeing Kirigakure's forces charging forward, Uzumaki Kai nodded in satisfaction. It seemed Lord Jun's strategy was truly effective. The only downside was how much money it cost. But since Kirigakure dared to invade Uzumaki, if they didn't retaliate fiercely, they'd think the Uzumaki clan was easy to bully. Money? Whatever. Lord Jun had plenty. And damn, it felt good. Uzumaki would win this war even without relying on their so-called allies. Seeing Kirigakure suffer such heavy losses right from the start, truly devastating losses, was exhilarating. With so many explosive tags detonating at once, how could they not suffer? Hadn't they seen the Uzumaki clan members howling in pain? Even if they were just shadow clones, the pain was real. If the Mizukage returned to the village after this failure, his position as leader and high-ranking official would be over. So this time, the Mizukage was truly going all out. Uzumaki Kai narrowed his eyes as the dust cleared, revealing the scene before him. He couldn't help but suck in a cold breath. The power of money was undeniable. No wonder ninjas loved it so much. This feeling was incredible. He waved his hand and shouted to the Uzumaki clansmen behind him, "Next step." With a cold smile, he watched the Kirigakure ninjas, who thought they had exhausted their supply of explosive tags and were now charging recklessly. Uzumaki Kai could only say one thing, "Sorry, but you have no idea how much money Lord Jun has." Uzumaki Kai now felt deep admiration for Lord Jun. He had prepared long in advance. Rumor had it that Lord Jun had warned the elders and clan leader long ago that Kanaha could not be trusted and was plotting against Uzumaki, but no one had listened. Lord Jun is truly far-sighted. Seeing that the Kirigakure ninjas had regained their composure and were preparing for a full-scale assault, he ordered, "Ready." Whoosh! The Uzumaki clansmen uniformly raised their bows, arrows nocked and aimed at the charging Kirigakure forces. Hoseki Gengetsu saw this and immediately raised his hand to halt the advance. When he spotted the explosive tags attached to the arrowheads, his face paled. Explosive tags! Take cover! But it was too late. Fire! Uzumaki Kai sneered and swung his hand down. It seems we've reached the second step. Uzumaki Jun glanced at the distant forest before turning to the second elder beside him. They were paired up, one throwing oil jars, the other defending. It was the perfect arrangement. If only hot air balloons weren't so difficult to make in this era, he would have loved to establish an air force. "We've reached Kirigakure's fleet," the second elder said. "I suspect the people below have already noticed something's wrong." Uzumaki Jun scoffed. So what if they noticed? Kirigakure wasn't the land of sky. He doubted they had any high-altitude defenses or the ability to fly. From this height, what could they do besides throw shuriken or jutsu? Even if they did, the Uzumaki clan wasn't worried. They had plenty of chakra. At this altitude, any shuriken or jutsu would lose most of their power by the time they reached them. Ha ha ha! The second elder laughed. This time, Kirigakure is truly going to suffer heavy losses. We're also suffering heavy losses. Uzumaki Jun sighed as he looked down. He had spent an absurd amount of money. Even if they successfully defended Uzumaki this time, they wouldn't get any war reparations from Kirigakure. After all, Uzumaki was still too weak. It would be a miracle if Kirigakure didn't come back for revenge, let alone pay compensation. Of course, if they could capture the Mizukage or even a tailed beast, they might have a chance to negotiate. After all, if a village didn't even ransom its own cage, it was doomed. Hoseki Gengetsu and Kirigakure would become laughingstocks. If they had the strength, they could pull it off. But they didn't. Kirigakure had two tailed beasts. As long as they didn't release them, Uzumaki Jun would be grateful. Trying to capture a tailed beast? If they had that kind of power, would anyone dare invade them so easily? Big brother and the clan leader have begun, the second elder suddenly said. Has it started? Uzumaki Jun narrowed his eyes. Chapter 15, the system finally appears. Captain, there are ninjas from Uzashigakure over there. Suddenly, a Kirigakure ninja at the bow of the ship spoke up. Although they were curious about the loud noise that had come from the forest earlier, the Kirigakure ninjas still trusted their Mizukage. After all, how could these weaklings from the land of whirlpools possibly stand up to Kirigakure? They had no manpower, no cage, no tailed beasts. What could they rely on? Did they think they could win just by being reckless and charging headfirst with sheer courage? Don't be ridiculous. You're not the child of destiny. Even though the child of destiny is also an Uzumaki, he's blonde. The breeds are clearly different, okay? Uzashigakure? All the Kirigakure ninjas turned their heads in surprise. Though they found the strange objects floating in the sky odd, they didn't think something drifting so slowly could pose a threat. Even if it did, at such a high altitude, there was no way they could shoot it down. Only a tailed beast ball or maybe kunao could reach that height, but at that distance, kunao wouldn't be effective. Did they think the ninja world had no gravity? Only a handful of people could fly. Right now, they were truly helpless. Uzumaki ninjas. The Kirigakure ninjas stared at the two approaching Uzumaki ninjas. Hey? One of them was quite old. But why were Uzumaki ninjas appearing here now? Had something happened to the Mizukage? Impossible. A tiny village like Uzashigakure, with no cage or tailed beasts, couldn't possibly pose a threat to the Mizukage. These two were probably here to ambush them, but two people were too few. Were they set up by their own village? Sent here as cannon fodder? This was basically handing them achievements. Or maybe, did they look down on the rear guard? Just these two wait, they were actually Jonin level? But one was a middle-aged man, and the other was an old man. How much of their real strength could they actually use? They really were here to die. But the Kirigakure ninjas didn't care. The captain simply waved his hand and said, "Capture them. Let's see if we can extract any intel." Two Jonin were no threat to them, especially one who was a middle-aged man and the other an old man. With this lineup, did they think they could just charge in? Were they trying to promote respect for elders in the ninja world? Elder, should we act now? Seeing the Kirigakure ninjas move, the clan head quietly asked the elder beside him. It was their poor decisions that had led the land of whirlpools to this state. If they could survive this crisis, he would go to Kanaha and ask the Hokage whether the agreement made by Hashirama-sama that Uzumaki and Kanaha would support each other still stood. If not, they could deal with the Nine Tails themselves. The Uzumaki clan had no obligation to keep housing it. They didn't even get rent, and the demands were ridiculous. Not only did they need theft-proof doors, but they also had to sacrifice Uzumaki lives. What a joke! The Uzumaki clan might be stubborn, but they weren't stupid. If the Hokage said the agreement still stood. Yeah, right. Who would believe that? If they saw the Uzumaki winning, they'd suddenly want to be allies? Things didn't work that way. Screw that. Act now, the elder said solemnly. Remember Jun's words. The main goal is to use explosive tags to lure Kirigakure. As long as they could destroy the fleet, they would succeed. After that, it would be guerrilla warfare. Now, he was becoming more and more convinced by Prince Jun's words. Perhaps the land of whirlpools really had hope. The only question was Kirigakure the only village attacking them? Conserve your energy. Focus on using explosive tags. Understood. Ding. Reputation has reached 100. System officially activated. Uzumaki Jun froze. System? That piece of junk? After 7 years of silence? A flood of data surged into his mind, cool, mechanical, impersonal. He staggered slightly, blinking as information unfurled behind his eyes like a HUD. Multiverse Harmonious Society Support System initialized. This is not a war-type system. There are no conquest requirements. Jun squinted. Not a war system? Then what? Primary directive, build a harmonious society. Lead society toward prosperity. Create a well-off life. Seriously? His hopes of becoming a multiversal conqueror with a cool voice in his head sidekick were dashed in a single line of bureaucratic text. Still, his pulse quickened as the next line appeared. Access to multiversal resources available. Now that was interesting. Devil fruits? Zanpakuto? Yes, in theory. A window opened in his mind. Host, Uzumaki Jun age, 7 level, Chnin skills, Raise Nan, Shadow Clone, 3 basic jutsu, Mutual Multiplication Explosive Tags Reputation, 30,000 available worlds, Ninja World, Original World. He focused on Rumble Fruit and immediately got a rejection. Insufficient reputation. Required, 1,000,000. A groan escaped him. Figures. Worse yet. Cross-world items only available from world's host has physically entered. So no One Piece fruit unless he actually went to that world. Great. He was stuck with ninja crap for now. Still better than nothing. Travel to other world to unlock that world item. Chapter 16, Don't worry, this is just an ordinary Naruto world novel. Some chapters might be short because I delete the system conversation. The system here is bullshit, talks too much and disrespects the MC like he is some kind of slave. The author tried to make it comedic but too much reference from China. I am cutting down the Chinese references too. So the things from the original world are from Earth, right? Uzumaki Jun glanced at the system interface again. Damn it, were the words multiverse just a joke? Or maybe, could it be I'll travel to other worlds in the future? Like those wish fulfillment novels where the protagonist dominates the ninja world, marries Kaguya, and ascends to One Piece or Bleach. Was he the main character of a wish fulfillment novel? No. Uzumaki Jun's expression twitched. What the hell was this system good for, then? Slapping multiverse on its name just to look cool? That was basically false advertising. System is capable of interdimensional traversal. Jun blinked. What does that have to do with me crossing dimensions? You mean you cross on your own? Seriously? So this junk system takes vacations to other dimensions and brings back souvenirs while he stays stuck in the same place? System will never abandon the host while host is alive. That made it worse. So when I die, you leave me and find a new host. Pass on my legacy? Jun rubbed his temples. You really had the nerve to put multiverse in the name for that? Modifying title. Modification complete. His interface updated. The word multiverse now had a giant red X over it. Who designed this interface? Someone who failed app dev class? Jun sighed. Still, maybe there was some value. If I can exchange stuff from Earth and the ninja world, can I get something like a nuke? He wasn't joking. If he had a warhead, he could sail straight to Kirigakure and have a proper chat with Hisoki Gengetsu. Preferably from 10 kilometers away. Unavailable. Earth's modern weaponry violates harmonious society guidelines. Useless. Compared to other transmigrators, his golden finger was seriously bottom tier. No dimension travel. No super weapons. Just harmony? System clarifies, military power is part of harmony. Ninjutsu and Kekkei Genkai may be exchanged. Ninjutsu assists with daily life, improving society's infrastructure, quality of life, and safety. So earth release for road building, water release for irrigation? Jun was speechless. Was that a real justification? Or just coping? The system interface displayed a quiet, awkward ellipsis. Trash. System must comply with universal humanist law. Earth firearms are classified as high risk and restricted. Ninjutsu is not yet classified under that law. So I can't buy guns but I can create them in the ninja world? Correct. Jun covered his face. What is the point? No. Focus. The present situation came first. How do I earn this reputation anyway? Jun frowned. The system had only activated now after 7 years of silence. There had to be a trigger. Reputation is earned when others admire the host. Each individual can provide reputation 3 times initial admiration, plus 1 intermediate admiration, plus 100 absolute admiration, plus 1000. So that's how I got 30,000 points. About 30,000 people admired me at some level. It made sense. Until now, no matter how talented he was, people just saw him as a smart kid. Promising, sure, but not admirable. But after saving the land of whirlpools at 7 years old, that changed. Even adults couldn't ignore it. It was admiration earned under pressure. And enough of it to finally awaken this thing. Okay, then where's my newbie gift pack? The interface didn't respond at first. Then, newbie gift pack is available. Chapter 17, The Power of Science. Open the beginner's gift pack. Following the tropes of power fantasy stories, Uzumaki Jun silently recited in his heart. Ding! Obtained 150% discount trial card. Ding! Obtained 1 Sage Art, Wind Release, Ultra Big Ball Spiraling Shuriken, Cage Level, Trial Card. Obtained 5 attribute points. After waiting for a while with no further notifications, Uzumaki Jun was stunned. That's it? So little? Where's the beginner potion? The beginner outfit? The beginner divine weapon? None of those? What about beginner bloodline abilities? With so little stuff, who would even play this game? This game is doomed to fail. Uzumaki Jun looked at the 3 items. The 50% discount card usable for purchases in the shop was something most gift packs included. Sage Art, Wind Release, Ultra Big Ball Spiraling Shuriken, Forbidden Jutsu, experience 1 use of this technique. Not bad. Maybe he could give Kirigakura a little surprise with it. As for the last one, Uzumaki Jun asked, are attribute points used to increase attributes? Immediately, the interface changed. No, rather, the original host introduction page flipped to the second page, displaying the attribute panel. This interface was so low quality. Chakra, level 11, 3,333/20,000. Bloodline, none. Taijutsu, level 3, 0/4,000. Ninjutsu, level 8, 8,000/9,000. Wind Release, level 9, 9,000/10,000. Fire Release, level 0, 0/1,000. Lightning Release, level 0, 0/1,000. Water Release, level 5, 5,000/6,000. Earth Release, level 0, 0/1,000. Yin Release, level 0, 0/1,000. Yang Release, level 1, 1,000/2,000. Attribute points, 5. Reputation, 30,000. 1 reputation equals 1 EXP. Attribute points can freely increase any attribute by 1 level. Level settings. Level 0, Ordinary Person. Levels 1 to 3, Beginner. Levels 4 to 6, Genin. Levels 7 to 10, Chnin. Levels 11 to 15, Jainin. Levels 16 to 20, Cage. Levels 20 to 30, Super Cage. Level 30 plus, God of Ninja World. So his Wind Release and Ninjutsu were at Chnin level, while his chakra was already at Jainin level, probably due to the Uzumaki clan's massive chakra reserves. With 1 reputation only giving 1 EXP, 30,000 reputation wasn't much. The attribute points were better. But Ninjutsu at level 8? What did that mean? It means that once the host learns a jutsu, its power will immediately reach Chnin level. Any jutsu? Uzumaki Jun asked curiously. If that were the case, he could try allocating points to ninjutsu first, raising it to level 13. Then his jutsu power would reach Jainin level, right? Ninjutsu point allocation is affected by the corresponding attribute level and chakra level. So I need both the attribute level and chakra level at Jainin before I can raise ninjutsu to Jainin. Correct. That meant these 5 attribute points weren't much either. Based on the EXP needed for every 10 levels, adding 2 zeros each time, if he raised Taijutsu, Ninjutsu, and Wind Release to level 10, he'd have 21,000 reputation left. Using attribute points to raise them to level 11 would leave him with 2 attribute points and 21,000 reputation. What else should he raise? Recommend host to increase Yang Release. Why? Increases vitality, improving survival chances on the battlefield. True. Yang Release could enhance vitality and even synthesize bloodline abilities. That sounded promising. There was also Yin Release. Yin Release gave form, while Yang Release gave life. Yin-Yang Release was the technique to create all things. After all, Naruto had even used Yin-Yang Release to recreate Kakashi's eye. The potential was limitless. It was practically the power of a creator god. Use the remaining points to raise yang release and fire release to level 11. As soon as he finished speaking, Uzumaki Jun felt different, like he was a bit more energetic. As for why he didn't raise yin release first? Because yin release wasn't useful in the current situation. Fire release at least allowed him to set things on fire, like the ships, especially since he had prepared so many Molotov cocktails. Jun, are you ready? The second elder asked Uzumaki Jun, who seemed deep in thought. When do we start? The first elder and the clan head have already begun their attack. Hearing this, Uzumaki Jun turned to look in the direction of the first elder and the clan head. Sure enough, they had already started throwing explosive tags, creating a series of loud bangs. Right now, 5 Kirigakure shinobi were engaging them, but 5 against over 100 meant nothing. The first elder frowned as only 5 opponents continued to surround him. This wouldn't do. Uzumaki Jun and the others were waiting in the sky. If too many enemies remained on the ships, it'd be hard to drop the Molotov cocktails safely. After all, no matter what they threw, wouldn't the Kirigakure shinobi just blow it away with a jutsu? He blinked at the clan head, signaling a retreat. They'd have to follow Jun's plan, see if the Kirigakure forces would chase them if they retreated. They're retreating? What are these Uzumaki shinobi planning? The Kirigakure fleet commander watched as the 2 Uzumaki shinobi tried to retreat, completely baffled. Did they just come to throw a few dozens of explosive tags and then leave? Were the Uzumaki this rich? No wonder the Mizukage had decided to invade Uzashigakure. Maybe they were after their wealth. Otherwise, why attack a country so far from the land of water? Even if they won, what use was it? Build a watchtower so Kirigakure shinobi wouldn't get lost on their way to Kanaha? Left banner, take 30 men and capture those 2. He refused to believe the Uzumaki had an endless supply of explosive tags. Yes. Left banner responded. Only about 40 left. Uzumaki Jun sighed helplessly when he saw that less than half the Kirigakure forces had chased after the first elder. It seemed they weren't stupid and knew which side was more important. As for whether the first elder and the clan head were in danger, Uzumaki Jun wasn't worried at all, because they had nothing else, but they had plenty of explosive tags. He had even secretly drained the national treasury to buy more. Of course they had a lot. It was only because of recent events that his father hadn't noticed yet. The treasury was probably empty except for mice. As long as the first elder and the clan head kept running while throwing explosive tags, they'd be fine. Begin the operation. Uzumaki Jun said to the second elder. The second elder nodded and formed a hand seal, releasing a wind release jutsu. Wind release, small whirlwind connection. This was a temporary signal jutsu. Uzumaki Jun had suggested they develop a simple small whirlwind with no real technique, just something visible to nearby allies. Throw. Everyone who saw the second elder's signal responded immediately. Countless Molotov cocktails rained down from the sky. Bottles. One of the Kirigakure shinobi muttered in confusion, staring at the sky. They had already been puzzled by the floating objects earlier, and now bottles were being dropped? What was the Uzumaki clan trying to do? They had never heard of Uzashigakure having anything like this. Were they trying to smash them to death with bottles? Though they didn't understand the Uzumaki's intentions, this was war. No matter what it was, the Kirigakure shinobi had no interest in finding out firsthand. They prepared to use water release to wash the bottles away when Snake, Ram, Monkey, Boar, Horse, Tiger. Chapter 18, The Revolution is Mostly Successful. Snake, Ram, Monkey, Boar, Horse, Tiger, Fire Release, Great Fireball Technique. The overwhelming Great Fireball directly hit the gasoline bottles in midair. Boom! Bang! Bang! Then, the originally pitch-black bottles instantly turned into a sky-covering sea of flames under the horrified gazes of the Mist Ninja. Quick, use water release to extinguish the flames, the Mist Fleet commander urgently shouted. He was shocked. Were these people here to destroy the ships? Did they plan to trap them all in the land of whirlpools? But he didn't dare let his guard down. Even for one of the 5 great shinobi villages in a maritime power like the Mist Village, assembling another fleet in a short time would be impossible. If the main force was stranded here, who knew what accidents might happen? But this smell! The scorching flames rolled down like storm clouds. The Mist Ninja stared in horror as the flames drew closer, continuously using water release techniques. Water release, water wall. Boar, monkey, rabbit, rat, Boar, bird, water release, water dragon bullet technique. Yet, even with all the mist ninja using water release, they couldn't extinguish these strange flames. These flames! The mist fleet commander's eyes widened as he shouted, "Abandon ship, everyone abandon ship now!" Water release couldn't put out these scorching flames at all. Splash! Splash! At the commander's order, everyone began jumping overboard. The heat was unbearable, and the fact that water release couldn't extinguish it was terrifying. If they didn't escape now, they'd be burned alive along with the ships. Damn it! What kind of flames are these? The mist ninja in the water stared in disbelief at the burning ships. It was too horrifying. Even water release can't put them out. What do we do now? Oh, over 100 ships just gone like this. These weren't ordinary boats, they were large wooden warships. Now, not only would the Mizukage be in trouble, but even they, the commanders, would likely be scapegoated. And without ships, damn, wouldn't they all be stranded here? The land of whirlpools had such a sinister plan. To think of such a method, no, wait. The shinobi world recognized two famously reckless clans, their own Kagaya clan and the Uzumaki clan. They refused to believe the Uzumaki clan could come up with such a scheme, let alone these flames. Could the Uzumaki clan, who primarily trained in wind and water release, even produce flames like these? The mist commander suddenly sensed a massive conspiracy looming over Kirigakure. Was someone targeting the mist village? As the mist commander frowned in thought. Quick, get away! Suddenly, the mist ninja began frantically swimming, trying to escape the sea. What's going on? What happened? The mist commander barked. Stop panicking. Even if there's an accident, victory will still belong to Kirigakure. No matter the situation, they couldn't show the slightest fear. They just had to inform the Mizukage someone was plotting against them, and they needed a solution fast. What if it wasn't just Kanaha, but multiple villages? The thought sent a chill down his spine. Were the surrounding villages here not to pick at the land of whirlpool's remains, but to take advantage of Kirigakure? That scheming old fox Hiruzen, what a devious plot! Achoo, achoo! Hiruzen Sarutobi sneezed and rubbed his nose, muttering, "Seems like I've been too busy lately, not enough rest." He couldn't afford to relax now. His teacher had entrusted him with this heavy responsibility in troubled times. How could he rest so easily? He truly failed his teacher, Lord Hashirama, and Kanaha. Knock, knock. Hearing the knock, Hiruzen called out, "Come in." Seeing it was his old friend, he immediately straightened up and looked at Danzo seriously. "What is it?" Danzo, who hadn't yet adorned himself with multiple Sharingan accessories, still wore black clothing, his scarred face making him look like a fierce middle-aged man. He calmly said, "Kirigakure has begun their invasion." Hiruzen sighed. "Are we really not sending reinforcements?" This was a friendship established by Lord Hashirama himself. "Hiruzen, if Kanaha is to have peace, the land of whirlpools must be sacrificed," Danzo said firmly. "Only then can the Uzumaki clan merge into Kanaha, making the village stronger." "But Lady Mito," Hiruzen said reluctantly. "Lady Mito will understand. We're acting in line with Lord Hashirama's ideals," Danzo replied. "As long as it brings peace to Kanaha, that's enough." "In that case, let's not trouble Lady Mito with this," Hiruzen said with another sigh. "We shouldn't make her worry. I told you not to let the Uzumaki clan see Lady Mito, but you didn't listen," Danzo said helplessly. "Lady Mito already knows what we're planning." "But they're her clansmen," Hiruzen argued. "If we don't let them see her, Lady Mito might never see them again." "Lady Mito is already very old," Danzo said, narrowing his eyes. "We need to prepare." "What are you planning?" Hiruzen glared at Danzo and roared. "We can't disrespect Lady Mito. She's sacrificed too much for Kanaha. The village owes her." "The Nine Tails," Danzo said flatly. That name alone was enough. His old friend understood immediately. With Lady Mito's advanced age, it was time to prepare a new vessel for the Nine Tails. The old, worn-out one had to be discarded. Hiruzen's pupils shrank at Danzo's words. Finally, he sighed, took a drag from the pipe in his right hand, and said resignedly, "I'll handle this matter myself. Don't you dare act. I'll speak to Lady Mito personally." "Hiruzen." Danzo glared at him in frustration, but seeing his unyielding expression, he could only sigh. "Fine. Have it your way. But remember, you are Kanaha's light, and I am its shadow. For the sake of the village's safety, there are things I must do. You. Hearing Danzo's veiled threat, Hiruzen shouted angrily, what are you planning? Everything I do is for Kanaha. Damn it, even the ocean can't extinguish it. The Mist Commander stared in horror at the sea of flames, his face filled with dread. Is this the legendary Amaterasu? Only Amaterasu was said to be a flame that no water could extinguish. And now, this fire. It was too terrifying. Where did the land of whirlpools even get this? Was it really Kanaha? The Mist Commander felt a chill in his heart. It's over. Everything's ruined. He probably wouldn't survive this. Someone had to take the blame, and as the Mizukage's trusted subordinate, he was the perfect scapegoat. But what could he do now? How could he send word back to the village? Or, how was the Mizukage faring? They'd fallen into a trap. The Mist Ninja had been tricked, someone was targeting them. No, there's still one ship left. One more. Chapter 19, Can You Sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star? Combined part. One ship, there's still one ship left. Suddenly, a Mist Ninja shouted loudly, it's Lord Kioi, Lord Kioi's ship isn't destroyed. Kioi? Could it be? Turning his head, he indeed saw that one of the ships remained intact. The surface of the ship was covered in a layer of pure white ice, standing out starkly amidst the scorching flames and wreckage. Though the ice had managed to block the fire, it was visibly melting rapidly under the intense heat. The Mist Ninja commander frowned as he looked at the tall, black-haired Kioi on the ship. Damn it, he actually gets to show off like this. The second Mizukage was planning to. Uzumaki Jun also noticed him, black hair, tall, handsome, and capable of using ice release. There was no doubt, this had to be someone from the Yuki clan. And with those narrow eyes, the image felt familiar. Could this be the third Mizukage? As for why the ship wasn't burning, it all came down to the three elements required for ignition. But what was going on here? Attacking a weak country, and both the second and third Mizukage showed up together? You're not afraid of gasoline bottles, but what about explosive tags? Uzumaki Jun narrowed his eyes, staring at Yuki Kioi and muttering to himself. While ice release could prevent the gasoline from reaching its ignition point, in the midst of such raging flames, he refused to believe this Yuki clansman had enough chakra to sustain it. The Uzumaki clan's chakra reserves were unmatched, well, except for the Senju clans. Everyone, use explosive tags. Yuki Kioi frowned as he watched the flames grow fiercer. He had already noticed that these flames were unusual, the smell was far too strong. But if this continued, his chakra wouldn't hold out. Thinking this, he immediately turned to the ninja beside him and ordered, set sail, get us out of here. The Mist Ninja next to him responded loudly, yes, Lord Kioi. But... damn it! Yuki Kioi looked up at the fluttering objects falling from the sky. Explosive tags. Hurry, set sail, and leave. This ship couldn't afford to be lost. Otherwise, how would they send word back to Kirigakure? And with such heavy losses in this invasion, even if Hojiki Gengetsu survived. Even if they won, it wouldn't be a clean victory. Damn it, let's see if the Hojiki clan dares to keep causing trouble. Did they really think the third Mizukage would also come from their clan? But now. No need to even think about it. First, they'd have to pay back their debts before considering anything else. What, they won't pay? Claiming the Hojiki clan isn't responsible? That this was war, and losses are inevitable, so no compensation is needed? Don't joke around. This invasion was launched by the second Mizukage, Hojiki Gengetsu, of the Hojiki clan. If not them, who else should take the blame? Besides, the Hojiki clan had been acting too arrogantly lately, and many in the village were already displeased. And they even assigned him, Yuki Kioi, the Yuki clan's genius, to the rear supply team? They didn't want him to earn any achievements. Now things had escalated. The Hojiki clan would have to pay, whether they wanted to or not. Even the commander of the supply team was Hojiki Genjutsu's trusted subordinate, nothing to do with the Yuki clan. Yuki Kioi's expression remained calm as he coldly watched the endless rain of explosive tags. Internally, however, he was cursing. If he could protect this ship, no matter what, these achievements would be his. And if Hojiki Gengetsu failed as well? The Mizukage better start thinking about how to stabilize his own position first. Still dreaming of having the next Mizukage come from the Hojiki clan? Keep dreaming. With this thought, Yuki Kioi exerted even more effort. Only by standing out could he prove his uniqueness. All these losers were being wiped out, while he alone succeeded. Such glorious achievements! So, as expected of Lord Kioi, such immense chakra reserves, a mist ninja marveled at the ice shield completely encasing the ship. Truly one of Kirigakure's two great Kekii Genkai clans. Lord Kioi is incredibly strong. The ice on the ship's surface hasn't melted at all. Such unbelievable control. They're about to make it out. Lord Kioi is about to succeed. The Mist Ninja commander watched as the surrounding ninjas cheered for Yuki Kioi. His expression looked as if he'd been force-fed something vile. He had promised the Mizukage to keep Yuki Kioi from gaining any achievements, to keep him quietly in the rear. Now things were troublesome. Even in this situation, Kioi managed to steal the spotlight. And Yuki Kioi was one of the strong candidates for the next Mizukage. Moreover, what kind of flames were these? Since ice release could extinguish them, they couldn't be Amaterasu. But where did the Uzumaki clan get such flames? And what was this strange, pungent smell? Now this guy had not only shown off but also gained a bunch of admirers. If word spread after returning. Damn it! The Mist Ninja commander felt he might as well prepare for his funeral. The Mizukage would definitely push him out as the scapegoat. But this blame was far too heavy, he couldn't shoulder it. However, he didn't know that Yuki Kioi was inwardly cursing up a storm. His chakra was almost depleted, the surrounding flames showed no signs of dying down, and the explosive tags raining from the sky were shaking him to the core, making him feel like vomiting blood. But he couldn't vomit. Absolutely not. If he did, his handsome and cool image would be ruined. The guys up above were being too ruthless. They'd already destroyed 99 ships. Couldn't they leave just one for Kirigakure? This invasion had barely started, and the fleet was almost entirely wiped out. If they let someone return to report and stir up trouble for the second Mizukage, wouldn't that actually help Uzumaki? Jun, what do we do now? The second elder frowned as he watched the ice release user below. This guy is definitely no ordinary ninja. With such power, he's practically at cage level, yet he was hiding in the rear. Uzumaki Jun nodded. Of course he was strong. At this point, he was almost certain this narrow-eyed guy was the third Mizukage. After all, he had attended the first 5-Kage summit. And most of the attendants at the first 5-Kage summit later became the second Kage of their villages. Except for this guy, who was forced to wait until the third. He must have been smiling on the outside but cursing inside. He'd been promised that serving as the first Mizukage's attendant and attending the summit would guarantee his succession. But he'd been cheated, ending up as the third. Uzumaki Jun didn't know if the third Mizukage harbored resentment toward Hojiki Gengetsu for stealing the second's position. But even if he didn't, their relationship couldn't be good otherwise. Why keep him in the rear and not let him command? Clearly, they didn't want him earning achievements, afraid he'd compete for the next Mizukage position. As for claims that it was to protect the Yuki clan's genius, Uzumaki Jun could only scoff. In Kanaha, they also kept the Uchiha from earning achievements to protect them. And what happened in the end? Both clans were nearly wiped out. But the Yuki clan suffered even worse, not a single one remained. Why? Uzumaki Jun suspected it was because the Yuki clan had produced a Mizukage. The Uchiha wanted to produce a Hokage but failed, leaving only one survivor. The Yuki succeeded, so they were exterminated. Meanwhile, Suzuki was the child of prophecy. How could the Yuki clan compare? Thinking about it was just sad. As for why the Kagaya clan was also wiped out, Uzumaki Jun figured they must have competed for the Mizukage position too. You're just like the Uzumaki, a bunch of reckless idiots with no child of prophecy in your clan, yet you still wanted to be Mizukage? So they were wiped out, leaving only one, who then met Orochimaru. The last brainless one fell in love with Orochimaru, wanting to offer his body. But Orochimaru wasn't interested, he only wanted the Uchihas. But Suzuki was the child of prophecy, destined to save the world. Did they really think he'd die so easily? So Kimimaro sacrificed his body, and Suzuki devoured Orochimaru whole. Thus, after wandering the ninja world for years and seducing so many pure souls, Orochimaru wasn't about to just settle down with some ordinary person and return to the village to raise kids. No, let him go, Uzumaki Jun said after some thought. This can't go on forever. Save some explosive tags for the main force. He wondered what would happen if he let this guy earn some achievements. Would he feel grateful to Uzumaki? But Hojiki Genjutsu's face would definitely turn green. After going through so much trouble to steal the second's title and block Kyoi's achievements, who would have thought? Only one ship remained, and it was saved by this damn Yuki brat. Meanwhile, he'd been beaten to the point of crying for mercy. All his pre-war preparations had gone to waste. Ding! Gained 90,000 reputation points. Hey? Where did this sudden reputation come from? Had Kamaki and the others succeeded? But 90,000? He remembered only about 50,000 Uzumaki ninjas were participating in the war. Where did the extra come from? Unless some have reached intermediate or advanced admiration levels. So now he had 91,000 reputation points. What could he exchange for them? To ensure victory? After all, there were still two-tailed beasts and a cage-level opponent waiting for him. Prepare to retreat, Uzumaki Jun said after a moment. The mist ninjas chasing the first elder and the clan head have already turned back. Now we regroup at the designated location. It seemed these mist ninjas had noticed something was wrong here and abandoned their pursuit of the first elder and the others to return. He wondered how the first elder and the clan head were doing. After all, the older generation of the Uzumaki clan was a key part of their victory. Though their strength might not reach cage level now, their sealing techniques were masterful. Hadn't Sarutobi Hiruzen, at 69 years old, still managed to seal the first and second Hokage along with Orochimaru's arms? Perhaps the first elder and the others weren't the strongest, but their chakra reserves were vast. They didn't need to seal a god of shinobi even if each of them sealed just one limb, they could overwhelm the Mizukage through sheer numbers. True, many of Uzumashio's younger elites had died in the war against Kanaha, but the older generation had plenty of strong ninjas. It couldn't be helped their vitality was just that strong. Uzumaki would probably have to figure out how to handle an aging population and retirement plans later. Yes. Underground shelter. Though Uzumaki Jun had prepared in advance, the conditions in the underground shelter were still far from ideal. Dark, damp, and filled with the tension of war, everyone was anxious and fearful, especially after the violent tremors earlier. They worried about their children, wives, husbands, fathers, and mothers. Were they safe? The sound of quiet sobbing was the only noise in the dim shelter. Kushina saw this and immediately understood the task Jun had given her. But as a 5 or 6-year-old child, she had no idea what to do. And she was worried too about her father, her grandfather, her uncles, about the daimyo, and about Uzumaki Jun. She might be mischievous and adorable, but she was still just a child. But remembering Jun's task and his promise, that he would definitely protect Uzumaki, Kushina believed in him completely. Because Jun was so smart, he told stories, sang songs, and did so many amazing things. So she had absolute faith that Jun and the others would succeed. But faced with this situation, she didn't know what to do. Panicked, she looked around, but no one could help her. The nearby ninjas only scanned the surroundings vigilantly, their faces cold and silent. Clearly, they wouldn't be of any help. I can do this. I can do this. Kushina clenched her small fists, encouraging herself inwardly. Because Jun had said she could do it. With this thought, she suddenly felt more confident. Taking a deep breath, she stood in front of everyone and called out in her childish voice, "Everyone, don't worry. The clan head and Lord Jun will definitely succeed." But the crowd only glanced at her indifferently. Seeing this, Kushina felt a bit disheartened. Just as Jun had said, this task wasn't easy at all. Then, as if struck by inspiration, she shouted, "Let's sing a song. Do you know how to sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star?" Chapter 20, The Land of Whirlpools finally has hope. What exactly is happening? A Kanaha ninja wearing the village forward protector frowned as he looked at the small island across the sea, muttering to himself. Why are there such loud noises continuously? Could it be that Kirigakure was so shameless as to release a tailed beast, planning to nuke the land of whirlpools? If they wanted to speed things up, why go this far? How could they do something so disgraceful? Using a tailed beast directly, completely ignoring the tailed beast prohibition agreed upon by the 5 great shinobi villages. Damn it, at the next 5-cage summit, they must definitely file a complaint against Kirigakure. Narasama, are we really not sending troops to help the land of whirlpools? One of the Kanaha ninja couldn't bear it and spoke up. But the agreement established by Hashirama-sama. Narashikaso stretched lazily and replied calmly, "It's not that we're not helping. It's just not the right time yet. Wait a little longer." As for what was really happening, he couldn't just say it outright. The higher UPS in Kanaha wanted to inherit the land of Whirlpool's assets, so they were waiting until most of the Uzumaki clan was wiped out before acting. Even worse. He glanced subtly at the masked figures lurking in the shadows route. These people were here to kill. If too many Uzumaki clan members escaped, they would intervene. After all, if too many survived, how could Kanaha claim the inheritance? Only if the Uzumaki clan was left with a few young children could Kanaha, under the pretense of being the land of Whirlpool's longtime ally, take them in. Then, using the excuse that the Uzumaki orphans were still minors, Kanaha could safeguard the land of Whirlpool's assets. What a righteous reason! Damn it, no wonder these people could become village leaders and hold high positions. Their schemes were truly deep. Narashikaso sighed helplessly and shook his head. He didn't know whether Kanaha's actions were right or wrong, but as a shinobi, his duty was to obey orders. After all, those who were too clever often died quickly. It was better to play dumb. He had a family to support and a clan to manage. Laziness and foolishness were the way to go. But the Senju clan seems to want to take action immediately, the Kanaha ninja whispered, pointing at a group of Kanaha ninja with grim expressions nearby. Won't they interfere with our mission? He didn't dare speak too loudly. The Senju clan was one of Kanaha's great clans, especially since both the first and second Hokage came from their lineage. Even the third Hokage was the second's disciple. No one in the village dared to offend the Senju lightly. However, the Senju were usually kind and amiable, well liked by the villagers. But today, why were they so angry? Don't mind them, Narashikaso shook his head. As long as they don't act, let them be. What kind of mess was this? Could Kanaha afford to bear the reputation of betraying its allies? If word got out, who would dare ally with Kanaha in the future? Kanaha had always upheld the first Hokage's ideals, striving to maintain peace in the shinobi world and taking the lead in contributing to stability. So this blame, neither too big nor too small, was just right for Kirigakuer to take. Hadn't they seen? The Senju clan was practically green with anxiety, wanting to help the land of whirlpools. Weren't the Senju a part of Kanaha? Had they forgotten that the first and second Hokage were both Senju? Thinking this, Narashikaso sighed inwardly. What exactly were the higher UPS trying to do? Why were they constantly erasing the influence left by the first and second Hokage? Shikuma-sama, what should we do now? A Kanaha ninja wearing the Senju clan emblem asked anxiously, looking at his fellow clansmen. Kanaha won't let us go. The Senju clan couldn't bring themselves to betray their allies like this. Senju Shikuma sighed, his gaze filled with sorrow as he looked toward the land of whirlpools. Remember, this village was founded by Hashirama-sama. It is our village too. He didn't know why the village had made this decision, but he knew it was wrong. As Kanaha's longtime ally, the Uzumaki clan had never done anything to betray Kanaha. On the contrary, they had given their all. Yet now, they were in such a dire situation. He didn't know how Hashirama-sama would react to the village's decision if he were alive, but he was certain that Hashirama-sama would have rushed to help without hesitation, even if he had to fight alone, even if it meant death. Because he was the god of shinobi, the great and benevolent ninja who ended the warring states period. Now, the land of whirlpools had become a battlefield. The Uzumaki clan had sacrificed so much for Kanaha. True, the Senju had also suffered heavy losses, but the Uzumaki were not part of Kanaha. The Senju's sacrifices were for their own village, something they accepted willingly. But the Uzumaki had sacrificed for Kanaha, only to meet such an end. It's truly disheartening, Senju Shikuma murmured. What was the third Hokage thinking? He had been steadily reducing the Senju clan's numbers. The Senju would never do anything to harm Kanaha, and they were Hashirama's own clan. Perhaps the Senju needed to make a decision. Otherwise, they might end up like the Uzumaki. For the sake of the clan's survival, they might have to betray Hashirama-sama's ideals. Senju Shikuma gritted his teeth and said to his clansmen, "Prepare to move out. We're heading to aid the land of whirlpools." Yes. All the Senju shouted in unison. Recently, their hearts had been uneasy. The Uzumaki clan's friendship with Hashirama-sama was sacred. Yet now, their dear allies were being betrayed. The Uzumaki had always treated them with sincerity, and now they were repaying that kindness with treachery. They had failed Hashirama-sama. Uzumaki Jun had no idea that the Senju clan had ultimately decided to defy Kanaha's orders and come to the land of Whirlpool's aid. Nor did he know that Kushina was leading the clan members in the underground shelter in singing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. If he had known, he would have taught her more songs like Tomorrow Will Be Better or Itsy Bitsy Spider, songs more fitting for times of disaster, rather than children's songs like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and Row, Row, Row Your Boat. He knew that staying in the shelter for so long without hope or distraction would break people's spirits. Especially when they knew a war was raging outside, fear and anxiety would spread. He didn't want any accidents happening after they had already won the war. Such ugly incidents would only ruin the mood. Elder, clan leader, are you all right? Uzumaki Jun asked as he arrived at the meeting point, looking at them. Ha ha ha, that was exhilarating, the elder laughed heartily. We're fine, perfectly fine. The feeling of overwhelming the enemy with sheer force was just too satisfying. What about you? The clan leader asked with a smile. How did things go on your end? Had they succeeded? How many ships did Kirigakure have left? Uzumaki Jun sighed. The clan leader and the elders' hearts clenched. Had something gone wrong? They exchanged glances and patted Uzumaki Jun's shoulder reassuringly. It's all right, don't worry. Even if you failed, it's not a big deal. They still have one ship left, Uzumaki Jun said regretfully. What? They still have, you mean? The clan leader and the elders' eyes widened. Only one ship is left. Then. Ha ha ha. They burst into laughter, tears streaming down their faces as they murmured, we succeeded, we succeeded. Now, all they had to do was wage a war of attrition against Kirigakure. Without reinforcements or supplies, the Kirigakure shinobi wouldn't last long here. Especially since Kirigakure was one of the 5 great shinobi villages. With such heavy losses, how could they allow the Mizukage to continue like this? There's hope now, there's hope. The land of whirlpools finally has hope.
Thanks for listening.